guys, and they're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to stabilize your foundation. Schedule a free inspection with Indiana Foundation Service, a groundworks company.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See
Guys
website
and
for
ladies,
details.
you made New Year's resolutions to get back in shape. Want real results in 2026?
Go to Centergen X and Low T Center for a free men's TRT test and $200 off the women's hormone test. GetMyHealthFix.com.
Sniffles and sneezes got you down? GoodRx is here to help with big savings on commonly prescribed cold and flu meds. GoodRx is free and easy to use. GoodRx is accepted at all major pharmacies like CVS, Walmart, and Walgreens. Just search your prescription, find a coupon, then show your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx is not insurance, but it works whether you have insurance or not. If you do, GoodRx may beat your copay price. Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com to save today.
Progressive's accident response can detect and send help when you need it most, after a major car accident. But other accidents, you're on your own. Like when you accidentally call your wife Mom. When you accidentally say Happy Holidays on someone's birthday. When you accidentally wave at someone you thought was waving at you. We can't help with those accidents, but Progressive's accident response provides peace of mind after major car accidents. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
The Attorney General's Unclaimed Property Division has over $800 million just waiting to be claimed. Text Tony Katz to 46220 or visit indianaunclaimed.gov to claim yours today.
For your free system replacement analysis, give Family a call today at 317-577-8077.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Dugan Air Heating and Cooling Mitsubishi Electric Studios, here's the latest on incoming snow headed towards Indiana, what police know so far about a weekend shooting in Greenwood, and why it was a busy weekend for Indianapolis firefighters. Those stories and more after Fox News on 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis, and it's now 9 o'clock.
Death to America chants in Iran. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. And big counter demonstrations supporting Iran's regime after days of protests against Iran's leaders that led to a deadly crackdown. President Trump has said he could take action to stop. Fox's Aisha Hasni's at the White House.
The president told reporters last night that Iranian leaders have reached out to the White House to set up a meeting to negotiate, but the U.S. might have to act before they ever meet because Iran is starting to cross his red line.
There seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent. If you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence.
Human rights groups report more than 500 protesters have been killed in the crackdown. That's also included Iran shutting down the internet and cutting off phone service. Someone drove a U-Haul into a group of anti-Iran demonstrators in Los Angeles.
One person was hit, but no one was seriously hurt. Protesters scrambled to get out of the way, then ran after the vehicle and tried to attack the driver. The truck, whose windows and side mirrors were shattered, was stopped several blocks away and surrounded by police cars.
Fox is telling you, Jay Powers, that driver was taken into custody. Now to the anti-ICE protests. That's in Minneapolis. They've also expanded to other cities days after what demonstrators call murder. When an immigration agent shot and killed a woman, Homeland Security maintains drove toward him. Secretary Kristi Noem tells Fox Sunday Morning Futures.
If they conduct violent activities against law enforcement, if they impede our operations, that's a crime.
And Noem says they're sending hundreds more agents to Minneapolis. The Federal Reserve Chairman, President Trump's called a moron for not cutting interest rates soon enough and not big enough, is now under criminal investigation over Jerome Powell's testimony to Congress about Fed building renovations. Powell, in a video statement, says he has stood firm in the face of threats, and this is about if the Fed can be independent.
Or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation.
America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What to know about incoming snow. You've got a mostly clear sky, and it's 24 degrees in downtown Indianapolis at the moment. I'm Sean Herrick. Here's what's trending at 9:02. Today and tomorrow are supposed to be warmer than usual across Indiana.
And then on Wednesday, that's going to be our transition day. We will have a system moving through, bringing us chances for rain. and the chance of rain on Wednesday is about 60%. We'll have a high near 42 on Wednesday.
And Jason Puma with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says high temperatures will drop into the 20s by Friday in most places throughout the state, and exact snowfall totals will vary. An argument is what police in Greenwood say led to two men pulling out guns and firing them at each other late Saturday night. Two men killed, another man was injured. It happened at a home near Freedom Park. A 2-year-old boy who died in an Indianapolis house fire on Saturday has been identified as Isaiah Howell Jr. That fire happened on Findlay Avenue, which is on the southeast side of Indianapolis. That's near the intersection of Raymond Street and Keystone Avenue. Indianapolis firefighters also say a vacant home on the east side caught fire. Jake McDaniel reports.
When they got to North Bolton Avenue near East 10th Street and I-70 just before 10:30 Saturday night, flames were already going through the roof. The owners say the home has been empty for 4 years since their father passed away, but it's been broken into several times. No one was found inside the building, and firefighters have now ruled the fire as arson. Jake McDaniel, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The Indiana Hoosier football team one win away from a national championship. They hammered Oregon on Friday, 56-22. The tone was set on the first play of the game by Hoosier cornerback D'Angelo Pons.
Here's Dante Moore ready to take the snap. Drops back, throws the football. There we go! Intercepted! D'Angelo Pons! Touchdown! Unbelievable!
Don Fisher with the call on the IU Radio Network, and the Hoosiers have the Miami Hurricanes next Monday night at 7:30. And with WIBC traffic now, here's Matt Baer.
Yeah, John, looking at northbound 65 before 21st Street. Crash. 2 left lanes blocked. Traffic stopped into the north split and onto westbound 70. We have a delay of 16 minutes. South side northbound 65 slows from Raymond into the south split because of construction. And a crash on the south side. This is McFarland Road at Thompson Road. Traffic sponsored by IHOP. IHOP's value menu is here. Enjoy breakfast favorites like pancakes, eggs, and bacon, French toast with sausage, or a cheesy omelet with pancakes for just $6. Go to your happy place with the $6 IHOP value menu. I'm Matt Baer with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here with an offer that's not blowing smoke. My friends at Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling want you to stay safe and warm this winter and have an offer for just that. Hope will give you up to $1,500 for your old furnace for a full replacement system installation. So if your furnace is on the fritz, now's the time to take advantage before it's too late. Call Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today. That's 641-HOPE. That's 641-HOPE.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
And the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Partly cloudy, breezy at times, but should be a little warmer this afternoon. Today's high 42. Partly cloudy skies, quiet, not as cold tonight, a low of 31. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey, 93 WIBC.
And I'm Sean Herrick on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. 9:06, time for Kendall and Casey.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
You know, I think we're at the point where you got to ask yourself, how could you have any confidence in any of these people? I mean, if we're really being honest, when it comes to our elected officials, at a state, at a local, at a federal level, how could you have any confidence in any of these people? 93 WIBC. It's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. We got a bunch to get to today. We're going to have renowned economist Dr. Michael Munger from Duke University going to be with us talking about, like, where is the economy actually at? Because it's so conflicting right now. when you see the stock market doing incredibly well, and yet it appears buying power, response you get from your small mainstream businesses that things aren't great. So we'll try to make some sense of that. Then a little bit later on in the program, Justin Swanson from Bose McKinney going to be with us because when the government shut down and then reopened, there was a major change made to a major part of Indiana's economy that could have a profound impact on our farmers. And he will tell us all about that and what could be to come if things aren't changed. And we're going to begin the first of several days in which, as we told you last week, we sent producer Jason. Many people remember producer Jason Dozier from Tony Katz's Midday Show. We sent him down to Du Bois County to find out just what's going on with this very controversial Mid-States Corridor project. Of course, most of you know this proposal, this multi-billion-dollar proposal to build a stretch of road that will connect I-64 to 69. People are outraged down there. There's a poll that came out that said 62% of people disapprove of Mike Braun in his home county. This has sort of been a pet project for Governor Braun for well over a decade now. And at the heart of this, and why a lot of people are outraged, is the perception is out there that the Governor Braun would potentially financially benefit from this road being built. So we sent producer Jason down to talk to people down there, how they were feeling about it. We'll start the first of several days of playing those interviews for you as well. So big program to get to. But continuing to dominate the news is Minnesota. It is a complete dumpster fire, specifically Minneapolis, and things are spiraling out of control very quickly. And it comes back to how I started the show, which is how can you have any confidence in any of these people? And I'm not just talking about whether you agree with their policies or not, whether you agree with specific actions they've taken, whether it's economic development or it's tax policy or whatever it might be. Reasonable people can disagree from one topic to the next. Reasonable people can come to different conclusions on the best path of action. I'm not talking about any of that. What I'm talking about, let's just look at Minnesota as an example. Whether it's their governor or this mayor of Minneapolis, the mayor of Minneapolis, who we're about to hear from, Jacob Frey, when you hear these people talk, Tim Walz, Jacob Frey, you hear them and go, are these people serious? Is this some episode of Impractical Jokers or that old Ashton Kutcher show where somebody's going to pop up from behind a bush and laugh at me and go, ha, 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 it's a reality TV show. Sadly, it's not a reality TV show. These are people who are legitimately running, or at least in charge of, or at least espoused to be in charge of, in this case, the largest city in the state of Minnesota, and you can't possibly take them serious. Here is the mayor of Minneapolis saying that the police in Minneapolis will not work with ICE, who are there to vet out, to arrest, to apprehend people who are committing a crime by being in this country illegally. Take a listen.
Yeah, look, what our policy says is that I don't want our police officers spending time working with ICE on immigration enforcement. Because why? That's not our primary job. You know what I want our police officers doing? I want them stopping murders from happening. I want them preventing carjackings. And by the way, they're doing a hell of a job right now. We've only had 2 shootings in Minneapolis this whole year. And by the way, 50% of them were from ICE. So I want our officers focusing on safety. You know what I don't want them doing? I don't want them spending a single second hunting down a father who just dropped his kids off at daycare, is about to go work a 12-hour shift, who happened to be from Ecuador. That guy, he makes Minneapolis a better place, and I am proud to have him in our city.
Again, how do you hear this if you're a resident of Minneapolis, one of the few normal ones left, or if you are a resident of the state of Minnesota, one of the few normal ones left? But even if we extrapolate this across the country, this guy is in charge of a major metropolitan city. He has huge impact on hundreds of thousands of people's lives, on economic development. And you hear him saying with no shame whatsoever, going on a national television show, in this case, Jacob Frey was on Meet the Press, and you hear this and say, you have a federal law enforcement group who is there for the purpose of finding and apprehending people who broke into the country, who entered the country illegally, who committed a crime by coming here. And yet he is saying with a straight face that basically those guys are the problem, and I'm going to tell my police department, whose job should be to keep people safe. You would think identifying and apprehending people who are in the country illegally would be a huge part of keeping people safe. And yet he says, nah, we're not doing that. All right, so they also asked him on Meet the Press about the fraud that's been going on in Minnesota. And listen to this. He goes out of his way basically to try to not put the blame on Walz, Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, who was clearly in charge while this stuff was going on and clearly had, at best, zero interest in knowing about it. At worst, he was complicit in it. But then he claims everybody could have done more. Well, who is everybody? The government was in charge. The state of Minnesota was in charge of delegating these dollars. And Tim Walz, as the governor of Minnesota, is the de facto CEO. He also, Jacob Frey, who you'll hear in this clip, is very upset that people are labeling this as a Somali problem. Newsflash, it was predominantly Somalis who were involved in the daycare fraud. Take a listen.
Let me ask you about the leadership in your state. Dozens of people in Minnesota have been charged and convicted with stealing millions of dollars of taxpayer money for government programs. Do you think Governor Walz did enough to stop the fraud in your state? And do you support his decision not to run for re-election?
Well, look, Governor Walz is the reason that we've got paid family leave in Minnesota. He's the reason we've got free school lunches. Him and I, we've been through thick and thin.
But did he do enough to combat fraud,
over these
Mayor?
last 5
Did he do
years.
enough to combat fraud?
Look, obviously, everybody could have done more to prevent fraud, and I think that's a fair point to make. Do more to prevent fraud, and you look what he's doing right now. He's setting up a whole bunch of infrastructure to do that. And by the way, look, the fraud's real. We've all got to acknowledge it. The fraud is very real. And by the way, when somebody commits fraud, and there are many that have done that, you investigate it. You charge, you prosecute, and yeah, you put the person in jail. As an individual, you put the person in jail as an individual. You do not hold an entire community, any community, accountable for the actions of individuals.
Okay, a couple things with this. Number one, your state created the boundaries by which the fraud was allowed to happen. Tim, the Democrats control everything in Minnesota. Democrats created the environment by which this was allowed to happen. If Democrats had been remotely on it, look, people try to commit crimes all the time, and a lot of times they're able to get away with it. But when you say, okay, we're in charge of everything, it's why I get so frustrated with the Republicans here. People always say, well, why are you so mean to the Republicans? What about the Democrats? Well, other than Indianapolis, which we certainly on the regular talk about what a dumpster fire Indianapolis is, which is controlled by Democrats, Republicans control everything here. Everything that happens under the watch of Republicans in Indiana because they're in charge. They have all the statewide offices. They have supermajorities in the House and Senate. Who else am I going to talk about? All of these policies, whether it's the wholly corrupt IEDC or the Medicaid debacle or the tax increases or the failure in property taxes or whatever it is, the only people you can look to is the Republicans because they're in charge. It's the same thing in Minnesota. The Democrats were, again, at best, completely irresponsible, derelict in their duty to oversee these programs. So that would rest on them. And it looks more and more like, as the days go on, that they were completely complicit in this. It was part of a legalized vote buying operation. So when you see that, and it wasn't, look, my daughter is 2.5 years old, and one of her favorite words is, uh-oh. And sometimes she will do things on purpose, like turn the television off and then look at me and go, uh-oh. And what we say to her is we say, no, Olivia, if you do something on purpose, it wasn't an uh-oh. It wasn't an accident. You don't get to say uh-oh if you do it on purpose. And in the case of Minnesota and Minneapolis, whether it's allowing these lunatics to control the city and fight with ICE that we're seeing now, or across the state, this mass daycare fraud from predominantly Somali individuals, the government, Tim Walz or Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, don't get to say, uh-oh, because you've known it's going on and you're not doing anything or you weren't doing anything to stop it. All right, let's take a break. It's Kendall Casey Show. When we come back, something very serious came down last night. It could have a profound impact on the economy. It appears that the head of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, is under potential indictment, under investigation, under criminal investigation over testimony that he gave to the United States Congress. We will hear from Jerome Powell. He is addressing this head on. We'll play that for you when we come back. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
And thousands of people start the year with good intentions of losing weight and getting in shape by spring. For over 22 years, Exercise Inc. has helped Hoosiers build muscle and lose weight and transform their health, which means creating lifelong habits rather than a resolution most of us don't keep. Exercise Inc. works, and the best part about it, it only takes 20 minutes once a week. Their unique training method was developed in an osteoporosis research study to help prevent bone mineral loss in older women. The women in the study got very strong in a short amount of time. When the method is applied to normal, healthy adults, both men and women get a lot stronger. Their Simple 9 nutritional program has helped their clients lose over 40,000 pounds since 2013. They've also seen their clients lower blood pressure, improve blood sugar, and get off prescription meds. Get started right now. Avon, Brownsburg, Fishers, Greenwood, and Zionsville. Change your life in 20 minutes once a week. Go to exerciseinc.com to request a free consultation.
It's time. You've been putting off that kitchen or bath remodel long enough. What are you waiting for? Get started today with Boer Remodeling. Boer Remodeling customer Kathy had a bath remodel with Boer. Kathy, talk a little bit about your experience.
Our experience with Boer has been terrific. The process was so easy and seamless. When we decided to do a larger remodel of our first floor, Boer was the first company we thought of hiring.
And were you happy with the results?
The results are amazing, and we are so happy with our home and the work that Boer did.
Peter is another recent Boer Remodeling customer with a new kitchen. Peter, what was the best part about working with Boer?
We especially liked the active participation that we were able to have in selection of stone for the countertops. Really came out beautiful. The cabinets also came out very, very well.
The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in Central Indiana. They'll guide you through the entire process. Start with a free consultation. Talk to Boer Remodeling today. That's BOOHER, BoerRemodeling.com.
Serving Indiana means being ready for growing energy demands. At Duke Energy, we're adding more power to the grid and working on hundreds of local projects to make your energy more reliable. We've strengthened nearly 20,000 poles, updated more than 270 substations, and prevented hundreds of thousands of outage hours with self-healing grid technology, so your power can come back on faster than ever. That's the smarter energy future Indiana deserves. Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
Here's a tale of Tina searching up and down for decent GLP-1s, but got spun around.
Till Good RX wrote in, hey, we got something new. GLP-1 prescriptions, all FDA approved.
Brand name meds, no flags that are red.
Clear pricing from the start. None of those hidden fees in your cart.
Delivered to your door or pick up same day. Darn tootin'.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Hotfoot at thegoodrx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Give family a call for your family maintenance plan, 317-577-8077. Maintenance is crucial.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
This hour powered by Family Heating and Air, your American Standard air dealer. Nobody cares for you like family.
So there was a big announcement last night, and it could have a profound impact on the U.S. economy. It's the Kendall and Casey Show. Okay, so Jerome Powell is the chairman of the Federal Reserve. For those of you who don't know, and I mean, you could spend a week trying to explain the Federal Reserve to people, but essentially they control money policy in this country. Things like what your interest rate is if you get a loan for an automobile or a house. I mean, they do a variety of things. They are arguably the most important player in the U.S. economy. And Jerome Powell has been at odds with Donald Trump, especially since he took office again. By the way, Jerome Powell was appointed by Donald Trump in his first term. He has served under both Republicans and Democrats as the head of the Federal Reserve. He is a Republican. And though this past year, Trump has been very upset with Jerome Powell because he has refused to lower interest rates at the rate at which Trump has desired. The job, one of the primary jobs of the Federal Reserve, is to balance employment and inflation. They try to find a balancing act between the two of those. So if you have full employment, you would typically see interest rates be higher because you want money to matter. Money should matter in this country, and every time you print more money, every time you make it easier to get money, the money matters less. And so that is one of the primary jobs of the Federal Reserve, is to balance employment and making sure the economy is thriving, and policies that promote that, along with making sure money has meaning, that money has value, and to not let inflation get out of control. So Powell has angered Trump by refusing to lower interest rates at the rate he has wanted. Why? Because Trump, even though he won't acknowledge it publicly, common sense tells us tariffs have a negative impact on the economy. And Duke economist Michael Munger, one of the leading economists in the country, will be with us next hour to explain this. And so Trump has tried to cover this by lowering interest rates, which would make people more active in the economy, borrow more money, spend more money, et cetera. And one of the things at the same time that has been happening is there has been this major renovation of the Federal Reserve, and it is a multi-billion-dollar endeavor. And Jerome Powell, it has gone way over budget. Ha ha! Surprise, surprise! A federal government project has gone way over budget. And Jerome Powell last year gave testimony about this project and it being over budget, and that money was being spent. And recently, over the past several months, there has been a push by President Trump, amongst others, for Jerome Powell to be criminally investigated over the testimony that he gave to the U.S. Senate. And now Jerome Powell has came out in a preemptive strike and has said last night that he is indeed under a criminal investigation, and he is concerned that he could possibly be indicted. Here's what Jerome Powell had to say.
Good evening. On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned, in part, a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
Okay, so this is a massive issue because this guy is a major player in the economy, and the markets did not respond favorably to this because, once again, just like with the tariffs, it is throwing a huge amount of uncertainty into the market. It also, and look, if the guy committed a crime, he committed a crime. But if we're going to be upset about government projects running over budget, which we should be, hello, welcome to the Kendall Casey show. That's sort of the premise of what we do here. We bitch about government being unaccountable with your money. There's a long list of people that are going to end up behind bars. This certainly appears very selective, and it appears that he is being targeted for not doing what Trump wants. And we as a country, if we're going to have a Federal Reserve, and that's certainly its own discussion about what we need to do with money policy and money in this country and who oversees it. But if we're going to have a Federal Reserve, we all have a vested interest in the Federal Reserve being independent of the whims of any politician, whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump or whoever, and do what is best to have that balancing act of inflation versus employment. So we'll keep an eye on this. We'll see what happens going forward. Again, as we've said on this program numerous times related to stuff happening here locally, a grand jury does not mean an indictment. An indictment does not mean a conviction. And this could be a whole bunch of stuff about nothing. An investigation could come and they say everybody goes home. But certainly something to keep an eye on. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, hey, we'll give you a little update on Casey and how she's doing and what's going on with her. And then we also are going to start playing some audio from we sent producer Jason, former producer for Tony Katz, down to Du Bois County to find out just exactly what's going on with this super controversial, very expensive Mid-States Corridor project. And we're going to start playing you some of the audio from the folks down there who are potentially going to be dramatically impacted by this multi-billion-dollar project. And what do they think of the governor and how he's potentially tied into all of it? We'll play that coming up next. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
You're tired of your house being uncomfortably cold and paying those high electric and oil bills to keep the heat on is shockingly expensive this time of year. You'd love to have new windows, but you don't want to pay a fortune for them. Well, January is a great time of year to replace your windows thanks to Window Nation. Over the last 20 years, they've installed over 3 million energy-efficient windows and helped tens of thousands of homeowners keep their homes comfy and cozy year-round while also saving them money on monthly utility bills thanks to new windows.
And right now, they're more affordable during Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 Windows for Free sale. So it's a great time to replace all the windows in your home. Plus, you could get them with 0 down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. If you're feeling cold drafts from your windows, it's time for new windows. Save big with Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 sale going on right now. Visit windownation.com to get started.
Guys and ladies, you made New Year's resolutions to get back in shape. Want real results in 2026?
Go to Centergen X and Low T Center for a free men's TRT test and $200 off the women's hormone test. GetMyHealthFix.com.
I'm the thread that's already inside the house. In the closet, under the bed, in the car. But I don't want your money or your TV. I can't be scared away or negotiated with. I'm patient and quiet. I don't sleep. You can't call the cops on me. You can't even see me. I'm the threat of family fire. And as long as your guns aren't stored securely, I'll be there. Protect your family. Secure all your guns. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A warmer start with a colder end. I'm John Herrick. This report is brought to you by Window Nation. Here's what's trending at 9:31. Frigid temperatures and snow are supposed to arrive in Indiana later this week.
But first, we're going to have some warmer and above normal temperatures as we start this work week.
Jason Puma with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says most places in Indiana will be in the 40s today and tomorrow, with snow likely to start moving into the state on Wednesday. The man accused of killing an Ohio dentist and his wife, now identified as the woman's former husband, Phyllis Williams, who is a friend of that woman's mother, attended the funeral on Sunday.
This is a hole that will never be filled. It's just a horrible
horrible tragedy.
The couple was found dead in their Columbus home December 30th. Investigators say their 2 young children were home at the time but were not harmed. And Avatar: Fire and Ash is extending its reign at the box office. The third chapter of James Cameron's sci-fi franchise made more than $21 million in its 4th weekend in theaters and is still in first place. The newly released horror film Primate brought in more than $11 million to take second. And your opening bell report on 93 WIBC. Right now, the Dow is down 284 points to 49,442. The S&P 500 has dropped almost 37 points so far today. 69.68 is where it's at the moment. And the NASDAQ is off 198 points to 25,739. I'm Sean Herrick on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Totally changed my life.
It's amazing.
I don't have any cravings.
You want to quit, but have found it impossible? This is the thing for you. I have absolutely no craving. It's the darndest thing I have ever seen in my life.
It's not for entertainment. It's for results.
Do it. It works. Period.
You've tried everything else. You need to come and try this.
Stop smoking with hypnosis. Only $59.99 guaranteed or your money back. Stop smoking with hypnosis guaranteed with no irritability and no cravings. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all. In addition, use hypnosis to lose all the weight and destroy unwanted cravings. Hypnosis programs are Thursday, January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss hypnosis at 5:30, stop smoking hypnosis 8 p.m. Or Saturday, January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss hypnosis 11 a.m., stop smoking hypnosis at 2 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
Don Fisher for QC Kinetics. I was struggling with chronic knee pain and wasn't encouraged with the options of risky surgery and pain pills. QC Kinetics offered the best option for me, cutting-edge regenerative medicine. Their non-invasive treatment stimulated my body's own biologics so I could be pain-free and get back to doing what I love, playing golf. QC Kinetics has a fantastic success rate, and it's clear to see why so many Hoosiers are happy to tell their story of how they reclaimed their lives with the QC Kinetics approach. Ready to live your life pain-free? Go to qckinetics.com/Indianapolis or call 317-559-PAIN and get a no-obligation consultation. QC Kinetics uses the latest technologies, whether it's stem cell, PRP, plasma, or a number of other advanced therapies. Call QC Kinetics. It'll be the best call you will make. Get back in the game, whatever that is for you. Call 317-559-PAIN.
The people in Southwest Indiana are outraged at our governor, and after you hear what they have to say, I think you're going to have a hard time not agreeing with them. It's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. We'll get to that here in just a second. We're going to spend the next couple days, parts of the next couple days, playing you some audio from the folks down in Southwest Indiana. We sent producer Jason down there, and Jason will actually be with us tomorrow talking about some of these interviews that he did. And this, of course, all emanated out of, over Christmas break, there was this poll that came out that showed the governor was wildly unpopular in his home county. And in fact, 62% of people in Du Bois County disapproved of the job Governor Braun was doing. I said, wait a second, this has got to be more than property taxes. It's got to be more than utility bills. There's something serious going on here. And what we uncovered is this all centers around Braun's support for this Mid-States Corridor project, which is this multi-billion-dollar proposal to connect I-64 to 69. And this comes at a time where NDOT has announced over 300 projects have been scrapped or delayed due to a lack of funding, and yet they're charging forward with this wildly unpopular project that's going to cost multiple billions of dollars. And even the Republican head of transportation in the House of Representatives, Jim Pressel, said, what are we doing here? How are we canceling all these other projects that are more important, that are more timely, and yet we're going forward with this thing with all this cost? We could be doing these other projects. It doesn't make any sense. And this is one of the troubling things, is it doesn't make any sense. And it has led many people to believe that because the governor has been such a hard proponent of this over many, many years, dating back to his time in the Indiana House of Representatives a decade ago, that this could potentially be about his distribution business, and the money that could be made for them off of this, because this connection of road would make that job easier, and people are outraged down there. They're very upset. It's an issue that really, until we got a hold of it, hasn't been on people's radar up here, but it should be, because even though we don't live down there, that's our money they're going to be spending if they go forward with it. That's our money they'd be using to connect this road, and we're, amongst others, trying to get to the bottom of this. So wanted to play you a clip, and we'll have producer Jason tomorrow, and then I think he's going to be with us Wednesday as well, talking about these people that he talked to, because there's so many layers to this story. But one piece of audio really stood out to me, and this was that he talked with a guy by the name of Tom Bartelt. And Tom's a farmer down in southwest Indiana whose farm has been in his family for 175 years. And Jason talked with Tom about the devastating impact this project would have on him. Take a listen.
Your name and your connection to Du Bois County and Jasper.
My name is Tom Bartelt. My family's had a farm south of Huntingburg for coming up on 175 years. I've lived there all my life. That's where I've retired to. That's where I had planned to live the rest of my life.
All right, for 175 years, you guys have avoided having anything like the Mid-States Corridor. Does this county need a Mid-States Corridor?
The county needs better roads. The Mid-States Corridor is not the right answer.
What would this mean for you personally and your business 175 years in this county?
Looking at the maps, I think it would probably take about a fourth of my farm. One of the options takes my mother's house and every single outbuilding on the farm. The option that doesn't take my mother's house puts the road between my house and my mother's house. My mother is a little up there in years. She has an emergency alert right now. She presses the button, I get the phone call, I can be at her house in less than a minute. It's going to be close to 2 miles for me to get there if the road divides us, because there's not going to be a way to get across the road.
Well, the person pushing this is a resident of Du Bois County, a resident of Jasper, and the governor of Indiana. Why is he pushing this so hard?
It's going to make him money. They originally wanted to do this because they were trying to pass it off as a safety and congestion relief thing. They've given up on that because they can't prove that. The only justification they have for it is improving connectivity for trucks and improved access to multimodal facilities, which means a better road for trucks. It's not a better road for Du Bois County.
And if Mike Braun walked in here tonight and surprised everybody and sat down and said, I want to hear from you, what would be your message to Mike Braun?
My message would be, this is about a lot more than a road to let trucks go through our county. That's not what the people of the county want. You need to listen to the people. You need to look at what's best for the state since you're governor. The state can't afford this road, but they're pushing it anyway. You need to rethink it. You need to look at what you can do to improve the existing infrastructure to get better roads here in Du Bois County.
Would you vote for Mike Braun if he ran for governor a second term?
Mike Braun is the only Republican governor I have never voted for. I mean, I am a strong Republican, but I'm not going to vote for someone who wants to take my farm away from me.
Okay, so we'll have some more of that audio from many folks. Jason was able to talk with many folks down in Du Bois County over the next couple of days. And again, everybody should be asking themselves, when you see a project, and it's a real issue here in central Indiana now, like with these data centers. When you see a project that is so wildly popular in a community, where there is overwhelming opposition to it, and you can't articulate the benefits of it on a napkin, you have to ask yourself, why is this thing going forward? I had a conversation over Christmas break with a very high-profile person in the PR business in Indianapolis politics and government, and they reached out to me about the data centers. And, you know, I think I give a unique perspective, because not only am I in the media, we do this program, but I was an elected person, so I understand economic development. I'm not, 100% against abatements. I get the value of certain things. And they asked me, they said, why are these things so unpopular? And I said, because people don't understand them. The data center people here in central Indiana have yet to articulate a clear, coherent message, and the politicians as well, on what the benefit to these things are, because when you factor in the abatements and the money, the actual cash, et cetera, coming from the IEDC, people don't see it. They don't see how they see the destruction of farmland. They see the changing of landscape. They see the destruction of generations of land and land usage. They see the negatives that are going to come because of these things. They don't see the positive. And the question becomes, and this is where the outrage is why are the politicians pushing so hard for them if they can't explain it? The same thing is going on as it relates to the Mid-States Corridor and Mike Braun. Mike Braun, INDOT, the people, these organizations that are pushing this, you can see we're a select group of people, fuel industry, distribution industry, where those people would benefit from this thing being in place. What the people of Du Bois County are not seeing is, how does this benefit them? The people going through Du Bois County aren't mostly going to be from Du Bois County. There's not going to be a lot of economic development benefit, certainly when you compare it to the cost of destruction of generations of land and land usage, like we heard from Tom Bartelt, whose family has been in, that farm has been in his family for 175 years. He likes his life as it is. He likes his quality of life, and he's going to be forced to change, and his land is going to be destroyed. Mike Braun and his staff have a really bad habit of hiding their head in the sand and acting like things don't exist if it's not good news. This story is not going to go away. The cat's out of the bag, and by the day, more and more people in Indianapolis media are going to begin to cover it. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I'll give everybody an update on how Casey's doing. We got some audio related to Maduro, and the Democrats are threatening to shut the government down over defunding ICE. We'll get to all that and more. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
When the new year hits, every business could use a little something to stay ahead. A lift, a jump start, an edge, or perhaps a boost. Like the all-new 5-year business boost from Comcast Business. It's the certainty of a price lock for 5 years on qualifying internet bundles. Plus, you'll have the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment, so your whole team can stay connected at a great rate. And to sweeten the deal, ask about a $500 prepaid card when you add 2 lines of mobile. It's the boost your business deserves. So sign up for the 5-year business boost and get a 5-year price lock on ultra-reliable Wi-Fi. Plus, ask about a $500 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 2/22/26, new customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees. Best Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Mark your calendar for January 24th at the Hyatt Regency for a night of insight and flair with Tony Katz. Trump 1 year later. VIP and GA tickets are available. WIBC.com for more info. Presented by Defiance Beef Company, Premier Arms and Chimney Solutions.
Hey guys, it's Rob. You know, the Indianapolis real estate market is strong, but not easy. Now is a good time to sell only if you hire a real estate team that knows how to aggressively market your home like Mark Dietel Realty. Perhaps you're worried with the challenging market, you won't sell your home for the price it's worth. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Michael in Speedway had to say about working with Mark Dietel. I loved my Speedway home and I raised my family there, but it was time to sell and downsize. I met with the Mark Dietel team and they explained their amazing marketing plan, and I was convinced. Just like the Speedway, things moved fast from there. After just 3 days on the market, I accepted an offer for $11,000 over asking price. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, Dietel.com. So the Democrats are now threatening to shut the government down again, this time over defunding ICE. So that's the thing. 93 WIBC. It's the Kendall and Casey show. Before we get into this just totally ridiculous appearance by Chris Murphy on Meet the Press, I do want to give you an update on Casey. A lot of you have been asking. Obviously, Casey's been out here in 2026. And I want to tell you the things I think she'd be okay with us talking about, because I know many of you love Casey and have been wondering where she's at. And we said last week she's been a little under the weather, and she does remain a little under the weather. She's hoping that that's going to turn the corner here pretty soon, and she will be back. I know she's got some stuff going on today, and hopefully she'll get some good news on that. And then once she's able to come back, she will certainly be back. So we didn't want you to think we were hiding anything from you. And, you know, she's been struggling a little bit, but not on a death's door type of thing, but we wanted to make sure she's 100%. She definitely wanted me to know and you to know that she misses all of you, and she loves you guys, and she'll get back here as soon as she can. So if you are the praying type, we certainly encourage you to pray for Casey and for her family, and hopefully we'll see her back in here real soon. So I wanted to give everybody an update on that. All right, so Chris Murphy, he is a Democrat senator from Connecticut, and he was on Meet the Press over the weekend, and a couple of pieces of audio I wanted to play for you, because the Democrats are just like, it's the Trump derangement syndrome, right? Like, there's so many things that you can be critical of Trump on, and I would look at you and go, that's 100% fair. You got a point there, and you're going to score some political points with that cause or with that case or what you're saying. But the Democrats are so blinded with rage that they can't help themselves, and they always go to the extreme. And the problem with going to the extreme is you expose yourself oftentimes to be in direct contrast with things you previously said. Like, you so desire an outcome that you can't even find any sense of common ground, even on things that are obvious. And so for Chris Murphy, Democrat from Connecticut, they're talking about Maduro and getting rid of Maduro. And back in 2019, he said, we got to get rid of Maduro. Obvious thing, right? Really bad dude, really bad guy. Many people saw him as an illegitimate president, the rigged elections. You know, he was a dictator. But now he's upset because Trump did it. Trump did the thing that that Murphy wanted to do with Maduro 7 years ago now. And just a couple of years ago, Joe Biden felt so strongly about doing that thing that he upped the bounty from $15 to $25 million on someone capturing Maduro and bringing him to justice. But listen to this audio and the spin when confronted with that fact.
In 2019, you wrote, quote, "Getting rid of Maduro is good for the United States." Is Venezuela now better off without Nicolas Maduro? Do you give the Trump administration some credit for that?
So Maduro is an illegitimate leader. Putin is an illegitimate leader. That doesn't mean that it's good policy to invade those countries. What we have seen over and over is that American military hubris, thinking that we can impose a political reality on a foreign country by force, ends up making us less safe. So, yes, I thought that it was important for America to pursue a diplomatic strategy with our Latin American allies to try to force elections in Venezuela so as to allow the Venezuelan people to move Maduro out of power.
That is so ridiculous. The stuff that he's talking about, how you would move him out of power, that was not going to happen. You got two choices. Either you can do what the U.S. did or let the guy stay in power. Look, and if there are some people who said what the U.S. did isn't going to make us safer, and they believe that, and that's okay. Like, reasonable people can agree or disagree, and you can have a debate about that. But the idea of, we should have done this, and we should have done that, like Maduro was just going to be like, here, Mr. Election Official, please come on in. Of course it was rigged. Of course the guy was always going to win. He's a dictator. That's how it operates. Same thing with Saddam Hussein. Same thing with Putin. The argument in Iraq was obviously, hey, this guy was a nutbag, but he wasn't messing with us, and look at the problem you created by getting rid of him. Now, if the U.S. is capable of getting rid of Maduro and having learned from literally generations of failures at regime change, then great. I'll be the first person to stand up here and go, that worked out really well. Certainly, many people in this country are going to be very hesitant of that because it hasn't worked out very well. But this guy, Chris Murphy, Democrat senator, is completely ridiculous because he's arguing like he might as well have just said Puff the Magic Dragon should have come in and taken over and been the leader of Venezuela. There was as much chance of that happening as what he described. You either had to do what the Trump administration did or let the guy stay in power, which is why Biden upped the bounty to $25 million. Now, he took that and then he said, hold my beer on the ridiculousness, because now Murphy and the Democrats won't rule out shutting down the government over defunding ICE.
Are you actually willing to shut down the government over these DHS proposals?
Well, I mean, the question is for Republicans. Are they willing to shut down the government simply to endorse the most lawless Department of Homeland Security in the history of the country? Both parties come to a discussion on the budget with priorities.
What are we doing here? Like, this is a United States senator openly saying that the Democrats will consider shutting our government down if money isn't taken away from immigration enforcement. This tells you whose side these people are on. And darn it, I hate this because it's why the Republicans keep getting reelected in places like Indiana and keep doing such a bad job governing, because they don't fear the Democrats. They know people will hear that and go, hey, the Republicans are bad on taxes, they're bad on spending, they're basically very corrupt, and they're screwing me. But I can't have getting rid of ICE as a mainstream policy in this country. We see this happen all the time, where the Democrats take positions to appeal to a lunatic left base that is so far outside the mainstream that they make themselves totally unpalatable to middle-of-the-road people who they would need to win elections. And the Republicans in places like Indiana, they see that and they go, well, it doesn't matter that we screwed you on property taxes. It doesn't matter that we're screwing you on utility bills while giving huge amounts of money to the utility companies. It doesn't matter that we're taking hundreds of millions of dollars from you and giving it to a essentially very corrupt quasi-government entity like the IEDC. They say it doesn't matter what we do because you're going to keep voting for us because you know what the opposition is. You know what is around the other corner, and we're banking on you being so afraid of that you will keep voting for us. Now, I resoundingly reject that because I'm not excited about slow walking myself off a volcano. I'm not excited about walking myself into a volcano at all, and I reject that. I reject that I have to vote for bad government because the other side might be worse. I refuse to reward people who screw me over and over and over and over again because I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to endorse it. I'm not going to say it's okay. But for the average person who isn't nearly into it as I am or you are, they hear this and they go, that alternative is so unacceptable. It is so outside the mainstream of the idea that you would shut down ICE, the people who are catching and apprehending people who are illegally in this country, many of them dangerous people. And by the way, How ridiculous is this argument that they always go to? Well, he wasn't doing anything wrong. He was dropping his child off at school. He did something wrong by illegally entering the country. That person is stealing from other people the moment he illegally stepped foot in this country. All right, let's take a break. Next hour, we're going to have a fun hour coming up for you, and it's going to include a conversation with Dr. Michael Munger, Duke economist, about just what's going on with the economy, because Wall Street doesn't seem to match Main Street, and I want to know how we're doing. That and a lot more. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Why don't you come with me, little girl, on a magic carpet?
My husband's an animal in bed.
Well, you know.
Not in the fun way. Think warthog. With a chainsaw.
Snoring and sleep apnea affect over 90 million people, and 1 out of 4 couples sleep in separate rooms. Advent can help. We've been your one-stop solution for nasal congestion, snoring, and sleep apnea for over 20 years. Unlike many other practices, we focus exclusively on these conditions, so you get comprehensive care under one roof. Advent's unique approach can help you breathe and sleep better, and many avoid a CPAP. Plus, most insurance is accepted for our effective 20-minute in-office treatments.
Hey, the only animal you want in your bed is your dog.
Advent. Sleep better. Sleep together. Learn how you can improve your life at adventknows.com.
The Pacers homestand continues with 3 games this week.
And the Pacers run, Siakam has Wiggins to beat. And he put it in!
Catch the Pacers and Celtics on Monday. The Raptors are in town on Wednesday. And it's Lucas Oil Family Night on Friday against the Pelicans.
Hard perimeter right. Center of the floor, the shot clock at 8. He drives, he's in the lane, he bounces down low. Count it! Jackson lays it in and draws a foul.
Don't miss any Pacers action. Get your tickets at pacers.com/tickets.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Kohl's new clearance markdowns are intense. Up to 70% off is the kind of deal that'll leave you feeling stunned and make you whisper things like, "Where have you been my whole life?" to a cardigan. Just take a deep breath, steady your cart, and try to act normal. But it's not possible. The savings are just too good. Shop new clearance markdowns now in-store and online at Kohl's. Select styles, some exclusions apply. See store or kohls.com for details.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Dugan Air Heating and Cooling Mitsubishi Electric Studios, the weather going through a change this week, and you'll hear what that change will bring. What police know so far about an escaped inmate in Indiana and why the Notre Dame head football coach is being investigated. Those stories and more after Fox News on 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis, it's 10 o'clock.
Up to 1,000 more federal agents are going to Minnesota. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, where days of anti-ICE protests have raged, and they've spread nationwide. That's in Los Angeles, angry over last week's shooting that left a woman dead when Homeland Security maintained she drove toward an immigration agent. Fox's Matt Finn reports from Minneapolis.
There's also video showing the final moments leading up to Renee Good's shooting death. Video appears to show Renee Good's SUV parked in the street, apparently taunting officers, honking the horn, and dancing in the driver's seat. Now, during a ride-along with Border Patrol here in Minneapolis, I saw anti-ICE protesters using strikingly similar tactics. Cars trailing agents for miles, drivers slamming on their horn, and the driver of one silver car blocking in agents. At one point, Border Patrol warned 2 women to stop trailing them.
In another protest in L.A., someone drove a U-Haul truck into a crowd of anti-Iran demonstrators, but Fox's William Lajeunesse reports no one was seriously injured.
People tried to clear the road. Others converged on the truck, jumping on the running boards to open the door. One got on the roof, then climbed onto the hood, smashing the front windshield. Others attacked the driver with a flagpole through the passenger window.
Police took that driver into custody. In Iran, there's been a big demonstration against the U.S. chanting "Death to America," countering the days of protest against Iran's regime, leading to a crackdown that human rights groups report has left more than 500 people dead. President Trump has threatened to take action, telling reporters Iran wants to negotiate, but
we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options.
The Federal Reserve Chairman, the president, is long criticized for not cutting interest rates enough, is now under federal investigation over Jerome Powell's testimony to Congress over Fed building renovations. Powell's response:
"In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor."
America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
The return of snow chances. A partly cloudy sky, and it's 28 degrees from our Radio 1 studios. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Temperatures will hover around the 40 to 50 degree range over the next couple of days throughout Indiana. But Jason Puma at the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says a change begins on Wednesday.
Thursday, dry day, high near 27. On Friday, a 50% chance of snow, a high near 35. And then on Saturday, 30% chance of snow with a high near 29.
He says the exact snowfall total's unknown, but he says it won't be confined to one particular area. Greenwood police say 2 men have been killed. 2 others were injured in a shooting at a birthday party Saturday night. A 37-year-old man pronounced dead at the scene. A 38-year-old man died after being taken to a hospital. 2 men, both of them armed, got into an argument and started shooting at the party. An off-field incident involving Notre Dame head football coach Marcus Freeman's now under review. Len Clark reports.
Freeman is being accused of battery following an incident at a high school wrestling meet in Mishawaka. The allegation comes from an exchange at the Al Smith Invitational on January 3rd, where Freeman was attending to support his son. A New Prairie High School assistant coach claims physical contact occurred as Freeman walked through a doorway after a verbal confrontation. Police took a report and forwarded it to a local prosecutor. No charges have been filed at this time, and the review is ongoing. Len Clark, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
An inmate serving a 3-year sentence for meth possession escaped from Cass Pulaski Community Corrections in Logansport on Sunday. Scott Pearson fled that facility after being informed that he was being transferred to the Cass County Detention Center for rule violations. Pearson left in a white 2015 Ford Escape and discarded his ankle monitoring device. The Indiana Hoosier football team plays in the national championship game a week from today against the Miami Hurricanes. And after their win over Oregon on Friday, IU head coach Curt Cignetti said his team is made of the right stuff.
They're high character, smart guys that can play. Coach Haynes puts them in position to make plays and put the offense in conflict and attacks. And on the other side of the ball, too, and special teams as well, we've been very consistent in all 3 phases.
Cignetti speaks to the media again at 2:30 this afternoon. Kickoff next Monday at 7:30 with pregame coverage starting at 6:30 right here on 93 WIBC. I'm John Herrick, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. 10:04, Kendall and Casey coming back in 1 minute.
Hey, this is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. My energy level exploded. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods, and I lost another 10 pounds. In fact, I brought my husband, and he lost weight, and his cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend lost 20 pounds her first 2 months.
What are you waiting for? Lose the weight or stop smoking with Hypnosis, guaranteed only $59.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late-night eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Hypnosis Thursday, January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 8 p.m. And Saturday, January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss hypnosis 11 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
and Casey Daniels
My government would never lie to me, would they?
on 93 WIBC.
I think at this point you got to really start just saying the motivation of these people on the left. 93 WIBC, it's the Kendall Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Look, all of this stuff that's unfolding in Minnesota, and it's sort of becoming ground zero of the left putting themselves once again, as it did during 2020, on full display. And I think one of the lessons learned out of 2020, both by the American public and by the Trump administration, who was in charge back then, as they are now, is that you can't show an inch of weakness with these lunatics. Like, you can't think that you're going to somehow appease them, or that you're somehow going to curry favor with them, or that you are worried about what their response is going to be, because they're going to do what they're going to do, which is enact chaos, because in many cases, that's what they're paid to do. Don't kid yourself. It came out during COVID in 2020, and it's going to probably come out again, that many of these people that are there, not just in Minnesota, but in these major cities across the country, are paid disruptors. You cannot talk to these people. They're insane lunatics who hate this country. Now, I'm not talking about like just liberals. There are people who I disagree with politically who I get along great with. This is far beyond like some political ideology about how big the government should be or whatever, right? We're not talking about that. We're talking about these people who hate this country, and they are dead set on the destruction. Now, there are elected officials who are in that camp. Many of these elected people in Minnesota that are a part of this, I put them in that camp because they are facilitating the actions. They are facilitating the behavior. They are facilitating the destruction and inciting violence against federal law enforcement officers by their actions or inactions. You know, like, I come back to prove this point. Let's come back to Indiana, because we always try to bring the show back locally when we can. Remember in 2020 when Malik Muhammad led an angry mob, as we called it at the time, to the governor's mansion on live TV. He took the people essentially from downtown, and he led this large group of people to the governor's mansion. This was in the days after the riots of downtown, and on live TV threatened to seize the governor's mansion. And this was all unfolding in real time. Like, he would move the group forward, the state police would push them back. The state police are guarding the governor's mansion. This guy's threatening to seize the governor's mansion on live TV. And finally, the perception is that the police talk him down, and then he's like hugging it out with the cops, and he does this this media availability afterwards, which is totally bizarre. And he goes there saying, I went here prepared to die, and a blah, blah, blah. And I'm watching this time going, why is this guy not being arrested? If Rob Kendall led an angry mob up Meridian Street to the governor's mansion and threatened to seize it on live TV, you think Rob Kendall will get to hug it out with the cops? So not only does the guy not get arrested, but then in the days that follow, he gets a VIP meet and greet with the governor himself, which multiple eyewitnesses who were there for that meeting or were aware what took place in that meeting told me that Malik Muhammad got to have input on what later became the police reform bill, of which our law enforcement in this state is still bound by. And then what happened to Malik Muhammad is he was left to go on his merry way. So the guy who is a known agitator leads an angry mob to the governor's mansion, threatens to seize it on live TV, gets a hug it out with the cops, gets a VIP meet and greet with the governor, gets to, by multiple accounts, write part of or have input on the police reform bill, telling our law enforcement officers what they can or can't do. And then what's he do? He goes to Portland and is arrested for trying to kill cops. That's exactly what he did. There was just an article written about him the other day. Somebody gave an update. I believe he's still behind bars in Portland for attempting to kill cops. That guy got everything he wanted. He got to hug it out with the police. He got to be on TV. He got a VIP meet and greet with the governor. He got to have input on public policy by multiple accounts. And what did he do? He went to a city on the other side of the country and is now in prison for trying to kill cops. You can't negotiate with these people. You can't listen to them. You can't work with them. What they want is chaos and destruction. What they want is to upend society, to overturn society. And I think the American people, and certainly the Trump administration, has finally figured that out. Kristi Noem, head of Homeland Security, was on with Jake Tapper on CNN, and I love this. She got no time for his bullcrap. Take a listen.
Doing a disservice to the officer by reaching a conclusion before the investigation takes place.
I haven't heard you say once what a disservice it's done for Mayor Fry to get up and to tell ICE to get the F out of his city, and AOC to stand up before she had any of the facts and call this officer a murderer. For individuals, well, call them out, Jake. Spend as much time calling them out.
Okay.
I have provided you with facts and information to back up every single word that we have said and every single part of this investigation. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But we're going to continue to do the right thing to keep the American people safe.
I know.
She's spot on. You cannot come to any sort of middle ground with these people. They are not interested in being members of decent society. They're not interested in a better America or a better Minnesota. They are interested because oftentimes they are financially incentivized to cause as much destruction and chaos as they possibly can. More from Kristi Noem with Jake Tapper says exactly what it is, that it is an act of terrorism, what that lady did with her car trying to run that ICE officer over.
Facts of the situation are that the vehicle was weaponized and it attacked the law enforcement officer. He defended himself and he defended those individuals around him. That is the definition. When there is something that is weaponized to use against the public and law enforcement, that is an act of domestic terrorism. It happened in our shores. It happened here in our country. You don't get to change the facts just because you don't like them. We will continue to look at this individual and what her motivations were. We know that there was, throughout that morning, she had harassed and impeded law enforcement operations. That raises the suspicion level with all of these law enforcement officers as far as paying attention to what her capacity is. And as you see on the videos, and they've proven out, that this law enforcement officer took the action that his training prepared him for, and he worked to make sure that he could save his own life and those around him.
Yeah, that more footage has come out, including the one from the ICE officer. There is zero doubt in my mind, not that there wasn't before anyway, that woman was trying to run that guy over. Or if he got run over, she was going to go where she was going to go. And if he got run over, well, then that's too bad. Like, I don't know. Anybody could watch especially the footage from the ICE officer's phone and think that there was anything going on other than that. She was going to do what she wanted to do. She was there to obstruct. She was there to cause chaos. And she has so little regard for anything other than what she wanted that she was okay with running that guy over. There's not a doubt in my mind, having seen the cell phone footage from that other ICE officer. There's no doubt. I'm sorry, I don't have any sympathy for some person who can't obey basic instructions, who goes out of their way to defy law enforcement and then puts them in danger to the point where they could get run over. What would you do if someone was coming at you with their automobile? Would you go, well, sure hope they turn? Oh, it's a noble cause. It'll be fine. No person would do that. That officer responded the way the overwhelming majority of people would. He defended himself. We are in this position now, or that woman is no longer with us now because she wanted to cause chaos. She was dead set thinking the rules didn't apply to her, that she could do whatever she wanted to do. And if she had just followed basic commands, basic instructions, basic orders, she wouldn't be in that position. I don't have any sympathy for that woman because I've seen it in the video enough times and I've seen multiple angles of it to believe that she was fine if that guy got run over. She was fine if that guy died. She did not care because she believed she was bigger than everybody else and everything around her. Now, Tom Homan, the border czar, he was on Meet the Press, and he wasn't taking the bait on the cute word games. He says it could be terrorism. It doesn't matter what you call it. Don't drive a car at a law enforcement officer and don't interfere with what they're trying to do.
You know, if you look up the definition of terrorism, is there violence? Is there threat of violence based on an ideology that wants to change the way the government does what we do? Look up the definition of terrorism.
But was Secretary Noem correct to label her a domestic terrorist, Mr. Homan?
Look, we don't know what, I don't know what Secretary Noem knows and what I know. I can tell you is what they did is illegal. And if you look up this definition of terrorism, it certainly could fall within that definition if you look at the definition of terrorism.
But you don't have evidence.
Pardon me?
You don't have evidence that she's a domestic terrorist.
I don't know what Secretary has that I don't. I'm not going to judge what the Secretary says, but if you look up the definition of terrorism, it certainly can fall within that. But I think we all got to agree there was no reason for this lady to do what she did. There's no reason to be there. If you want to protest, protest, but don't actively impede and interfere. And certainly don't drive a 4,000-pound vehicle toward an officer.
Kristen Welker, who is the host of Meet the Press, she is ridiculous. So you don't have any evidence she's a domestic terrorist? She was trying to run a guy over. She was trying to kill a federal law enforcement officer, or at the very least was fine if the guy died, if he got in the way of where she wanted to go. She was causing chaos. It wasn't like she was just walking down the sidewalk minding her own business and they snatched her up. She went there to do damage. She went there to cause chaos. She went there to obstruct. She went there to disrupt. And she was willing, if you're moving an automobile at someone, you're willing to kill them. That, to me, probably terrorized that law enforcement officer. That's an act of terrorism. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, the U.S. has allegedly drawn up plans to invade Greenland, and one senator says Congress is going to stop the Trump administration. 93 WIBC, it's Kendall Casey Show.
On sale right now for Trump 1 year later. The highs, the lows, how we win the midterms. Happening at the Hyatt Regency, downtown Indianapolis. The bourbon will flow. The food will be fantastic. We're going to go over Trump's past year and how we use that to win the midterms. It's going to be informing, entertaining, and very, very funny. I promise. Join us, Trump 1 year later. Brought to you by Premier Arms, PA Jewelers, Defiance Beef, Chimney Solutions, and WIBC. Get your tickets at WIBC.com.
Hammer Nigel here for Window Nation. I have Window Nation windows installed in my house. The cold air has stopped coming through. The warm air has stopped exiting the house because of my grade A Window Nation windows. Definitely check out their sale, windownation.com. Buy 4 windows, get 4 free.
Window Nation, the best in the business, but don't just take my word for it. Check out their A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Check out their over 45,000 5-star reviews. Now that's a big deal because nobody ever leaves 5-star reviews, but Window Nation has over 45,000 of them. Take advantage of this deal right now. Window Nation's buy 4, get 4 windows for free sale. It's going on right now. Schedule your fast and free, that's the key word, free estimate at windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Hey guys, it's Rob for We Grow Hair Indie. You know, when it comes to restoring your hair and your confidence, picking the right team makes all the difference. At We Grow Hair Indie, some of the biggest names in sports, radio, and entertainment trust them with their hair restoration. 5 years ago, I made the choice to head over to We Grow Hair Indie, and every time I look in the mirror, so glad I did. Call today to schedule your free consultation, 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. WeGrowHairIndie.com. Tell them Rob sent you.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This hour powered by Family Heating and Air, your American Standard Air dealer. Nobody cares for you like family.
There's something really fascinating going on in the country right now. And that is, can you actually, to some extent, run the government in the way you ran a business? 93 WIBC, it's Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Kev is here. So the Daily Mail has a big expose essentially saying that the U.S. has drawn up plans to invade Greenland. And Donald Trump has made very clear that he would like Greenland, which is currently controlled by Denmark, to come under U.S. control for a variety of reasons, most of them relating not only to the safety of our country, but also the safety of Europe because of its location and the ability to do certain things militarily. Whoever controls Greenland, it's very important. And then let's not kid ourselves. There's also the stuff in Greenland that could potentially be very valuable to the United States. And he has said we should buy Greenland. My question would be, how would we do that? We have no money. We're $38 trillion in debt, going on $39 trillion. So the next logical thing is if someone won't give you something and if they won't let you buy it, then if you want it bad enough, you have to take it. And the Daily Mail is alleging that the U.S. has drawn up plans. Doesn't mean it's imminent, doesn't mean it's going to happen, but they have drawn up plans, according to Daily Mail, to invade Greenland and what that would look like. Now, the question is, and we'll get into this a little bit next segment with Dr. Michael Munger, Duke economist, on how Trump's handling the economy, is that Trump with Greenland and many other things is trying to run the government or dictate public policy the way he did his businesses, which is put out a big threat. And we're seeing this with Jerome Powell, by the way, with the threats of indictment coming in the grand jury investigation with Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve. I tell you what I want. You don't do what I want. I make a big threat to you in hopes that you will cave and do most of what I want in order to avoid the big threat. That's how Trump ran his business. And that made him a great business guy. I'm not saying it's a negative, right? That he's a billionaire. He made a gajillion dollars. He lived an incredible life of luxury. And part of that was because his cult of personality, his ability to will things across the finish line, his ability to get things done. And a lot of that was centered around the threat. The idea of if you don't do whatever, then I'm going to do this and you're not going to like that. I don't know if you can run the federal government that way. There's too many players involved. In business, it's like corporation v. corporation. It's person v. person. It's personality v. personality. Here, you got to deal with, one, this big giant bureaucracy, but also 435 members of the House and 100 members of the Senate. And they all have a lot of power in their own ways. And so Tim Kaine, he was Hillary Clinton's nominee for vice president. You may remember him, senator from Virginia. He said the Congress will absolutely stop Trump if he tries to invade Greenland.
Margaret, I think Congress will stop him, both Democrats and Republicans. This would be disastrous. It wouldn't just be America first. It wouldn't just be the end of NATO. It would be America alone. If we take our best allies, and Denmark has been an ally for a very long time, and we decide that we have the military ability to seize territory for them, you will see the United States, instead of being the world's chief diplomat and a leader in the world, you'll see the United States isolated as a pariah. And I've talked to my Republican colleagues. They watch what the president has done in Venezuela. They hear the threats against other nations. I can tell you this, we will force a vote in the Senate about no U.S. military action in Greenland or Denmark. If we need to, we will get overwhelming bipartisan support that this president is foolish to even suggest this. We're not going to do it the hard way, and we're not going to do it the easy way either. We're going to continue to work with Denmark as a sovereign nation that we're allied with, and we're not going to treat them as an adversary or as an enemy.
Yeah, ultimately it's going to come down to, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? I mean, that would take a massive amount of political capital. It would probably be seen as widely unpopular. I don't know if Trump would be willing to go forward with that, but it's Trump. So you never know. You never know. You never know. It's Kendall Casey show. Producer Kevin, I'm going to bring you in for this if you can hear me and participate, because you are a musician and you have a profound love of music, classic rock music. I saw this, the Daily Star, which is a British publication. They had AI put together what Elvis might look like today. January 8th was Elvis's birthday. He would have been 91 years old. And they came up with what Elvis would have looked like today. He is not nearly as beautiful as Army or movie Elvis, we will say that. But it got me thinking, Kev, because Elvis obviously was 42 years old when he passed away. Look, he had been in very serious health decline, but we always remember him sort of as a young guy because he never grew old. Same thing with Jimi Hendrix. Same thing with Janis Joplin. Same thing with Jim Morrison. There's countless of these people, James Dean.
isn't part of why we remember them so fondly is they never really had a chance to burn out. We always remember them as being great.
Yeah, I feel like they're immortalized that way. But then you look at people like Paul McCartney or Ringo Starr, or at least with Paul McCartney, I feel like people still see him as the same accomplished musician or artist.
Yeah, you're right. And so I do wonder, like, let's say you had seen Elvis grow old, and the condition Elvis was in, that might have not been great, right? Like, do you really want to remember a 500-pound Elvis who's, on some bad reality show or whatever? Or with Jimi Hendrix, what might have been? I don't know. I just think a big part of this is the idea that they will forever be in our minds. I mean, Elvis wasn't obviously at the top of his game when he went down, but he was still young by life expectancy standards. He was still Elvis. And I saw this and it was like, whoo, maybe I'm kind of glad I didn't see him at 91. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Dr. Michael Munger, Duke economist, will be with us. We'll talk about this big news that came out last night that the Federal Reserve Chair is under grand jury investigation and what that could do for the economy. How is our economy actually doing? Does debt actually matter? Does the national debt actually matter? We'll get to all that and more. 93 WIBC.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Don Fisher for QC Kinetics. I was struggling with chronic knee pain and wasn't encouraged with the options of risky surgery and pain pills. QC Kinetics offered the best option for me, cutting-edge regenerative medicine. Their non-invasive treatment stimulated my body's own biologics so I could be pain-free and get back to doing what I love, playing golf. QC Kinetics has a fantastic success rate, and it's clear to see why so many Hoosiers are happy to tell their story of how they reclaim their lives with the QC Kinetics approach. Ready to live your life pain-free? Go to QCkinetics.com/Indianapolis or call 317-559-PAIN and get a no-obligation consultation. QC Kinetics uses the latest technologies, whether it's stem cell, PRP, plasma, or a number of other advanced therapies. Call QC Kinetics. It'll be the best call you will make. Get back in the game, whatever that is for you. Call 317-559-PAIN.
What say we start that new year with a new car at Tom Roush Lincoln? Hurry in for the 8-9-10 deal. Get $8,000 off new Nautilus or $9,000 off new Corsair. Or how about $10,000 off Lincoln Aviator? The 8-9-10 deal right now at Tom Roush Lincoln. Come get a great deal on all three from Tom Roush, where our family served yours since 1972.
Corsair stock number L25566, MSRP 55340. Nautilus stock number L26030, MSRP 62705. Aviator stock number L25384, MSRP 79450. See dealer for complete offer details.
Mi mamá le dio por aprender a pintar y es buena.
A mi papá por la cocina creativa y yo ya subí 6 libras.
Aprender cosas nuevas viene con la edad.
Pues a mi mamá por olvidar mi nombre y hasta de lo que hablamos.
Olvidar las que ya se conocen, no. La pérdida de memoria puede ser señal de la enfermedad de Alzheimer. La detección temprana les da tiempo a usted y a su ser querido para prepararse para el futuro. Aprenda las señales de advertencia del Alzheimer en 10señales.org. Patrocinado por la Alzheimer's Association y el Ad Council.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6818. 800-215-6818.
That's 800-215-6818.
Trust our family to take care of your family. Call us today for our family maintenance plan at 317-577-8077.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun, brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
It starts one way and finishes another. You've got a mostly clear sky, 29 degrees in downtown Indianapolis. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 10:31. Today and tomorrow supposed to be warmer than usual across Indiana.
And then on Wednesday, that's going to be our transition day. We will have a system moving through, bringing us chances for rain. And the chance of rain on Wednesday is about 60%. We'll have a high near 42 on Wednesday.
Jason Puma with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says high temperatures will drop into the 20s by Friday in most places throughout the state. Exact snowfall totals will vary from there. President Trump saying that he is on a call or was on a call recently to negotiate a nuclear deal with Iran.
A meeting is being set up, but we may have to act because of what's happening before the meeting.
He has vowed to respond if the Iranian government continues a violent crackdown on nationwide protests there. Muhammad Ali will be honored with his own personal stamp this week. The USPS will hold a first day of issue event in the boxing legend's hometown of Louisville, Kentucky on Thursday. The stamps feature a black and white photo of Ali in his famous boxing pose along with his name in large capital letters. Ali once famously said, "I should be a postage stamp because that's the only way I'll ever get licked." I'm John Herrick on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
So just how is the U.S. economy doing? The Trump administration says, look at that stock market, and then Main Street says, maybe not so great. Let's find out where it's really at. And to do that, we bring in one of the best of the business. He is a renowned economist from Duke University. His name is Dr. Michael Munger. Dr. Munger, hello.
Good morning.
All right, so before we get into the condition of the economy, we talked about this earlier in the program. Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, has come out and said, I am under some sort of criminal investigation over testimony to the Senate. This sounds very dangerous to me, but you are the economics expert. What say you?
Well, this is a legal question. Announcing an investigation is a big threat to a public official. And even if you then drop the investigation, that means that you have shown the club behind the door that the administration possesses. This is almost unprecedented to have a member. I think Trump would have preferred that Powell resign and he replaced someone else, more compliant. And presidents always want that, but no one else has dared to do this. So I think I don't see any content to what he's being investigated for. It's the announcement of the investigation that is designed to send him a message.
Dr. Munger, how damaging could this be to the U.S. economy? Even if nothing comes of this, the Federal Reserve chair, the head guy over there, he's a pretty important dude.
Well, there's two systems. One is you have an independent Federal Reserve and you've got some bureaucrat in charge of the money supply, and that's bad. The other system is you have politicians in charge of the money supply, and that's way worse. That's far worse, because that means that then the money supply is going to be determined by your desire to be able to run a gigantic deficit. And using money to supply a deficit, that's what Argentina did. That's what Zimbabwe did. So the reason we have a bad system with a bureaucrat in charge of the money supply is it's better than an even worse system, and that is having a Fed chair who is appointed just to be a yes man to the president.
Duke economist Dr. Michael Munger is our guest. Okay, so what do you like? You're right. This is unprecedented territory here. Is there an exit ramp with this? I mean, they've kind of opened the door now where I don't understand how they're going to get out of this without going forward.
Well, they will continue the investigation. This is pretty standard Trump negotiating technique. He describes it in his book, and he always did it. He puts pressure on the person he's negotiating with until they give him what he wants. And if they don't give him what he wants, he does something else. He'll change up the game. And so in a week, they might drop this and never mention it again. He's trying to see if it works. He's always probing to try to find weakness. And one of the reasons that's so frustrating, that works fine in one-off real estate deal or in politics. It doesn't work well in the economy because none of the business community knows what the heck he's trying to do.
Yeah, I heard years ago, somebody told me this with the stock market. You can say this is the most accurate thing I've ever heard, or you can say that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. With the business world, there's good news and there's bad news, and they know how to deal with it. What they don't deal well with is uncertainty.
I wish I'd said it. Milton Friedman famously said, he was asked once, Milton Friedman, the Chicago economist, Professor Friedman, what would be the best tax system? And he says, whatever tax system we have now. The worst thing would be to not know what taxes I'm going to owe a year from now. If I'm a business, I can't invest if I don't know what the taxes are going to be a year from now. Or, say it with me, the tariffs, if I don't know what the tariffs are going to be a year from now. So if Trump would pick a trade policy and stick with it, we'd be okay, even if it's one that has really high tariffs. But they're up, they're down. Did some girl smile at me today? There's no telling what he is trying to do. And that means the business community is confused. And you said it well. What I can't deal with is not knowing.
Yeah, Dr. Michael Munger, Duke economist, is our guest. Okay, so basically half of this radio show is stuff 15 years ago I stole from you. And one of the phrases that you have used over the years that I think is great is DAF. Deficits are future taxes. And we talk about this a lot as it relates to the out-of-control spending. Can you talk about, I mean, we're at 38 going on 39 trillion in debt, the long-term ramifications that will have to not only future generations, but people now potentially?
The big difficulty that we have is that the United States is pretty sound financially, and that is people will still loan us money. So suppose you were a business and you were worried about going bankrupt. As long as you have lines of credit where their banks will say, sure, yeah, we will open up a new line of credit. You could borrow another $1 million next year. That's the position the U.S. is in. Everyone will loan us money. And it's like a little kid who has a key to the cookie cabinet. We keep going back and say, well, we don't need to actually do anything. We can just borrow more. And so the difficulty that the U.S. has is precisely that it is so powerful financially that other people will still loan us money. The result is, and I've been saying this, as you said, for 15 years, let's admit, I've been consistently wrong. I thought we would not be able to borrow this amount of money. Wrong. What, in case nobody heard that, I was wrong. I did not think we would be able to borrow this much. I don't know why people are still loaning us money. But I do know that 25% of the federal budget is interest on the deficit. Another 45% is Social Security and Medicare, which we also borrowed, and we spent all the money that we took. Rob, I don't know if you know, I'm old. I get $4,000 a month from you and the listeners. I want to thank all of you young people because it is really great. I'm rich as hell, but I get $4,000 a month from you young people. And, you know, it's true that over my whole life, I looked it up. I put $500,000 into the Social Security system. It's gone. It's all spent. So it's not just the deficit. It's the overhang of Social Security and Medicare. If you add up interest on the debt, Social Security and Medicare, that's 60% of the federal budget. What are we doing? What is it where you would say, you know, what we'd really like is to have a government pay interest to other people and to give money to rich old people?
Here's the thing, though. You look great for 87 years old.
I was hoping you'd say that. I was fishing for a compliment.
Dr. Michael Munger, Duke economist, is our guest. So where are we at with the economy? Because the stock market seems to keep going up. Trump's telling us how hot it is, but Biden said the same thing, and Main Street was like, yeah, it's not going so great, and it seems like people aren't buying the way they used to, out in the communities. How do we make sense of this? Where are we at?
If you want to make sense of it, you shouldn't talk to me. We've already established I've been consistently wrong. I can say this. A bunch of idiots, and I'm looking at you, Paul Krugman, a bunch of New York Times self-appointed gods economists said, oh, the tariffs are going to cause inflation. Tariffs cannot cause inflation. Tariffs are a change in relative prices. And so unsurprisingly, inflation has not gone up very much. What has happened is that the prices of some products have increased, but the price of gas has fallen. Our economy is doing okay. And the Trump people look at that and they say, well, I guess everybody was wrong. Our policy is good. No, the U.S. economy would be on fire if Trump had chosen sensible economic policies. A lot of what he did was sensible, but the tariffs, the uncertainty, the threats to the Fed chair, if he would just stay in his damn lane, we could very easily, the economy could have twice the growth rate that it has now. The stock market would be 2,000 points higher than it is now. So we're doing okay. And Trump is right. Look at the numbers. We're doing all right. I must be doing the right thing. He's not. It would be much better if he would just behave sensibly.
Why doesn't he do that? I mean, he's a brilliant guy, right? I mean, he's made all sorts of money. Like, he has to know that, doesn't he? Like, is there some super secret strategy here, or is he just a guy without any self-constraint?
Like most of us, and I would include myself, if you're an expert in something, you credit yourself with being an expert in everything.
Yeah.
And, so often that gets thrown back in my face. I've sort of cured myself of it. He really has a genius for negotiating business deals. And he has an idea in his head that if I give you money and you give me a thing, I've lost. That hurts me. If I give you money and you give me a thing I need, that hurts me. So if we buy something from another country and our money goes out and goods come in, we've lost. He's mistaken about that. If you look, all of his policies derive from that fundamentally flawed premise. Now, there's a lot of problems with trade. There are things that you might say other countries are behaving unfairly. But the argument for free trade is by and large unilateral. We are better off being able to buy things more cheaply than we can make them. Any business faces a make or buy decision. And if you can buy it cheaper than you can make it, you're not losing by giving out money and getting the thing. You're gaining, because then you have more money to spend on other stuff. And so there's a fundamental mistake that motivates Donald Trump's understanding of the world, and that is trade policy. He often confuses the federal deficit and the trade deficit. Well, the federal deficit's bad. He's right. Trade deficit could be bad, but he puts way too much emphasis on it.
Before I let you go, we always do this disclaimer. You are basically the reason I'm here today. You are one of the people who inspired me to get involved in politics. So everybody who hears this #1 rated radio program, they can thank you, Munger.
It's a terrible responsibility. I wake up at night screaming just thinking about that. No!
Where can people find you on the internet if they'd like to read more or hear more about you?
My Twitter account is @Mungowitz, MUNGOWITZ, @Mungowitz. And you can also read you can listen to my podcast, which is The Answer is Transaction Cost. The Answer is Transaction Costs.
Dr. Michael Munger, one of the best in the game. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks very much. It was a pleasure as always.
Yeah, 93 WIBC. It's Kendall Casey Show.
Hey, it's producer Allison. Hammer and Nigel are back in studio Monday and hopefully rehydrated from the weekend. Let's find out together, shall we? Join us at 3 o'clock here on 93 WIBC.
Planning to host friends and family for the big game this year? We all know the excitement, the foods, the snacks, the team spirit, and the rush to make your home look perfect. But while you can decorate, clean, and set up the game day spread, there's home repairs you just can't fix on your own. When in doubt, call Indiana Foundation Service. Uneven walkways, cracked driveways, or sinking porch may not catch your eye every day, but they can be dangerous for guests arriving at your home for game day. Indiana Foundation Service has the tools and expertise to fix these issues quickly, keeping your home safe, smooth, and ready for every touchdown, buzzer beater, or home run celebration. Whether you find Indiana Foundation Service online or at a local event, the same neighbors guiding your project are the ones who live and work nearby. Schedule a free visit today at indianafoundation.com and get your home game day ready. Indiana Foundation Service. Your home is personal, and so is the service.
Indiana Foundation Service, reliability from the ground up.
It's a new year. Ready for a fresh start or career reboot? At My Computer Career, prep for a more recession-resistant future in the high-demand fields of IT, cybersecurity, in months, not years, including AI. Whether you're starting out or switching careers, no prior training is needed. Attend school online from home or on campus. Go to mycomputercareer.edu to take the free career evaluation today. mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
When it's cold, the last thing you want is your home's heater to quit on you. At 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, our team of comfort specialists take the frustration out of the equation. From simple repairs to more complex fixes, we'll get you warm and comfortable quickly. Just call 855-1HOUR or visit onehourair.com. Don't forget, we're
Always on time or you don't pay it time. Always on time or you don't pay it time.
independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Celebrate in red, white, and blue with Hammer and Nigel at Woodland Bowl January 16th. They're live at 3 and bowling kicks off at 6:30. Go to WIBC.com for your chance to win tickets to the sold-out Red, White, and Bowl presented by Jack Daniels and benefiting the Bowlers to Veterans link.
Oh my goodness, there was so much football over the past, 4 days? We got to give it its own segment. It's Kendall and Casey, show. I'm Rob. Let's go to the WIBC hotline. A man who knows his football almost as well as he knows his betting. Jason Hammer, one half of the Hammer and Nigel show, joins us now. Hammer, hello.
Why does producer Kevin hate me? Why do you bring me in with Sweet Home Alabama? Like, that's just such a middle finger to me.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that's maybe what you deserve, according to a lot of people, is a big, giant middle finger. All right, so let's talk about IU first, because I think that is the story not only captivating the state, but also the nation. If these guys win the national championship a week from today in Miami, is that the greatest story in the history of college sports?
Man, it's up there. It really is. The 2-year turnaround. Now, what I think people are forgetting, because I see a lot of the national media jumping on this thing of it's a Cinderella story. They were pretty good a year ago. They made it to the college football playoff, and the only games they lost a year ago were the two teams that played in the national championship. So it's kind of been a 2-year run here under Coach Sig, but the story's going to be pretty strong. And the way they've been doing it, Rob, I said this on Friday when I did the News Nation thing. They're just bullying some of the biggest names in the sport. They're not just beating them. They're out-muscling Ohio State, Alabama, and now Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, I think about like on our Degenerates Next Door sports betting podcast, you and I made at the start of the year, hey, pick some outlier to make the college football playoff. And I picked them at 5-1 to just make the playoff, right? Just simply make the playoff, and they're the best team in the country, and it's not even close. Everybody totally missed it with these guys this year. And Cignetti, I think, has, and I'll turn over to you on this. One of the things that I think Cignetti has done very well is he got a bunch of men out there. Like, you got 23 and 24-year-old guys, and when they're competing against 19-year-old guys, look, give me the 23, 24-year-old guys every single time.
But they got to be the right 23-year-old guys. Because take the IU basketball program the last 3 to 4 years, for an example. They spent a lot of money on NIL, and it was the wrong dudes. They were the type of dudes that would go out to the bars and flash their money at people and then go out in the court and lose. Like, that's not the type of dudes you want to bring in. It's got to be a group of guys that want to play as a team. And I know that's such a cliche, cheesy thing to say, but again, IU doesn't have any 5-star recruits on that roster. One, that shows you that the people doing the reviews of some of the athletes don't know their anus from a hole in the ground. But two, when you get that chip on your shoulder, hell, Tom Brady used that his entire career. He was drafted late. When you find motivated dudes like that want to play and want to get better, you can go on a run.
Hammer joins us. Let's turn our attention to the NFL. Best $50 I ever lost. The Bears, they beat the Packers. What a comeback. If we're going to say I use the greatest story maybe in the history of college sports, That's one of the greatest wins ever, right, Hammer? Down 18 at half, and the way they did it. How about those Bears?
Listen, I am so angry that you did not take our advice of hedging your bet, because $50 for you is like $1,000 to anybody else. You bet $50 on the Packers because you are guaranteeing yourself some sort of satisfaction at the end of the game. And at halftime, when Green Bay was just rolling the Bears, we all jumped on the gambling thread and said it'd be worth just betting $5 on the Bears right now. Why not? $5 would have paid you 75, Rob. But you didn't do it. You didn't do it, and now you're down 50 heading into this week. So America wants to know. Indiana wants to know. Are you going to double down?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Now, here's the thing, and I told you this in the thread. If I'd have put that $5 on them, they'd have lost by 35 points. I would have just, I would have lost $5, and then I would have been pissed off. Here's the thing, and this is what I keep telling people. All the Bears have to do is win 4 games to win the Super Bowl. At $50 a game, that's $200. You're telling me any person that's any sort of avid sports fan in this country that if I said you have to pay $200 and your team will win the championship? Look, I am such a betting poison hammer that the best thing I can do for the Bears is to bet against them. I got to spend $200 to help the Bears win the championship.
And if you think about it this way, like tickets, if you wanted to go to a game, way more than $200. If you go to some sort of viewing party, you're going to spend money on food and drinks, probably going to end up being over $200. You can ride, in theory, the entire postseason out and pay $200 for your team to win a championship. I like it. I'm here for that because I'm that level of superstitious.
All right, tell us what's coming up this afternoon on the Hammer and Nigel show.
Recap the biggest stories of the weekend. Guy Relford comes by for Monday Gun Day. And don't forget, I believe there's still just a few tickets left for our charity bowling event this Friday at Woodland Bowl. Red, White, and Bowl, presented by Jack Daniels. They just added some tickets late last week. They might be sold out, but please, if you want to go, it's a good time. Buy them right now at WIBC.com.
Jason Hammer, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it's Kendall Casey show. I saw this. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. I saw this story on the Indianapolis Star website, and I thought, oh, my gosh, this is actually happening. So, obviously, we are in an election year, right? It is 2026. The primary season is beginning in earnest. The filing window is open. And the race that is really probably going to captivate all the attention coming up this fall is going to be the Secretary of State's race. I mean, this is probably the absolute last chance for the Democrats to win a statewide office. If they can't do it against Diego Morales, then they might as well just pack it up and say we're done as a party. We don't even need to exist anymore. And they have in a great stroke of luck, they have managed to get Bo Bai, the son of Evan Bai, former governor and senator, and a grandson of Birch Bai, former famous U.S. senator, to agree to run for Secretary of State. And he has announced today, Indy Star, amongst others, with the report, that he has raised nearly $2 million in the first 3 months that he has been running for Secretary of State. That is more, according to the Star, than every Democrat who's vied for the office in the past decade in their entire election cycle. So in 3 months, this guy has raised more than any person who's ran for the whole election cycle in the past decade. Like, this is an amazing amount of money for a guy with no political experience whatsoever, wasn't even out in politics. It wasn't like he's been working for political candidates or office holders. He was a member of the military, and then he worked for a federal judge. And so that shows you the power, at least in the Democrat circles, that the Bai name still has. Now, will it translate across the board? Will it translate in November? I don't know. And we told Bo when he was on this show, about a month ago, I said, the biggest challenge you're going to have is that your party's loudest voices are a bunch of insane people. And in people in Indiana, while they might like you and you might be a heck of a nice guy and you might come off as normal and mainstream, which he is so far, he's already said things like voter ID are going to stay exactly as they are. We're not going to mess with that. The reality is you are up against other people in your party who are very loud, who are very vocal, who are very out there, and the average person looks at them and goes, that's an insane person, and if they're the voice of that party, no thank you. So this is going to be fascinating because there's a lot of people who believe, I think Bo Bai is one of them, that he will be able to raise $10 million. Look, Diego Morales has handed out a lot of no-bid contracts, the current Republican Secretary of State, and he's conveniently gotten some nice donations for those people who got no-bid contracts. He ain't going to be able to hand out enough no-bid contracts between now and November to get $10 million in donations. So it's going to be one of the super rare times, in all likelihood, that the Democrat is going to end up with the money advantage. That the Democrat is going to be able to probably run more ads, get more name ID out there than the Republican. Recent polling has shown Diego Morales way underwater from people who know who he is. Most of the people in the state still don't know who he is, which is a total indictment of Diego and his staff, considering he has spent the past 4 years, essentially including 3 of those as the Secretary of State. He has been using his office as a 24/7 campaign machine, and yet most people still don't know who he is, and those who do know who he is don't like him. So the Democrats are for once going to have every opportunity to actually win a statewide election. The question is, can they get it together? Can they, messaging-wise, be normal enough not to screw this kid over? It's going to be fascinating. We'll see. All right, let's take a break. Coming up next hour, the government shutdown and then reopening potentially had big ramifications for Indiana. We'll tell you about what that industry is and how it could affect you. It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
I'm at Decatur Township Station 73 in Canby, Indiana. I'm a firefighter engineer. I drive all emergency equipment to the scenes. So my father-in-law, his health was declining. We needed to move him to put in assisted living, and we needed to get the home out of his name. It definitely affects your job, thinking about things at home, trying to get things settled. I would catch myself here at the firehouse thinking about, I need to hurry up and get this done with the home. I need to close on it. I really didn't want to hassle with putting it on the market, listing it. I just Googled and found simple quarters, and I reached out to Megan, and the process could not have been smoother. She met with me, I think it was the next day. We did a walkthrough of the house. It just took an hour to do the walkthrough of the property. Megan was straightforward from start to the finish. She told me what they could offer. There was no pressure involved whatsoever. The pricing I got for the house was very fair. I would recommend Simple Quarters. The process was very simple.
Call Simple Quarters 317-687-HOME, 317-687-HOME.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis, guaranteed or your money back. Only $59.99. Destroy unwanted cravings, late night eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Also destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, or weight gain, or your money back. Hypnosis January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss of 5:30 p.m., stop smoking at 8. And January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss 11 a.m., stop smoking at 2. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Serving Indiana means being ready for growing energy demands. At Duke Energy, we're adding more power to the grid and working on hundreds of local projects to make your energy more reliable. We've strengthened nearly 20,000 poles, updated more than 270 substations, and prevented hundreds of thousands of outage hours with self-healing grid technology, so your power can come back on faster than ever. That's the smarter energy future Indiana deserves. Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
Welcome to the most wonderful time of the year, when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, scream in terror, and start looking for new ways to save money. If that's you, why not cut your wireless bill in half with a saver plan from Pure Talk? You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super-fast 5G network for just $20 a month. Ho, ho, ho. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you switch in minutes. Again, talk, text, and data for just $20 a month.
At Advent, nasal congestion and sinus infections can be solved with an in-office 20-minute procedure. Elsewhere, expect surgery.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Dugan Air Heating and Cooling Mitsubishi Electric Studios, snow is supposed to arrive again this week in Indiana. Here's what forecasters say you need to know. We'll give you the latest on that. Ramp closures on I-70 happening later this week. You'll hear when they're supposed to happen and what else to expect on that front, and what one Hoosier lawmaker says she's trying to do to help home buyers. Those stories and more after Fox News on 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis, it's 11 o'clock.
Iran wants to talk. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump tells reporters on Air Force One as he considers taking military action over Iran's crackdown on protests.
Well, he may meet with them. I mean, a meeting is being set up, but we may have to act because of what's happening.
Iran's foreign minister claims they have the situation under total control with a big counter demonstration supporting the regime that includes Death to America chants after days of protest against Iran's leaders.
A source in Tehran speaking with Fox News via Starlink described security forces open firing into crowds of people, using tear gas and arresting thousands. Human rights organizations say at least 544 people have been killed over the past 2 weeks. But with an ongoing internet blackout, the confirmed number is expected to increase significantly.
Fox's Trey Ying. Someone drove a truck into a crowd of protesters in Los Angeles who are demonstrating against Iran. No one was seriously hurt, but the crowd surrounded the U-Haul, smashed the windows, attacked the driver, and police took him into custody. In Minneapolis, the anti-ICE protests have gone on for days, angry over what they call murder, the shooting death last week of Renee Good, who Homeland Security says was interfering with ICE operations and then drove toward an immigration agent. And more federal officers are coming.
Hundreds of federal agents being deployed to the Twin Cities. Some came Sunday, others coming this week, on top of the over 2,000 ICE officers and DHS investigators already on the ground and tracking down and arresting what Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem calls the worst of the worst criminal illegal immigrants.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. Pope Leo met today with Venezuelan opposition activist Maria Corina Machado.
Last month, she came out of hiding to accept her Nobel Peace Prize in Norway. The first American pope called for Venezuela to remain an independent country after U.S. forces captured former Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro.
That's CJ Papa. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Why he's urging you to be ready. All clear on your radar. Now up to 32 degrees in the Circle City, but it feels like 18. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Snow could arrive in Indiana as early as Wednesday.
There's no really strong target for one area versus another. Just because of the nature of the setup. The setup really looks like we're just going to be in a northwest flow of cold polar air coming down.
Jason Puma with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says that polar air is supposed to lead to high temperatures being in the 20s by Friday. Overnight ramp and lane closures scheduled along I-70 on the east side of Indianapolis this week. The closures will occur nightly starting today and running through Friday to facilitate what NDOT calls overhead signage removal and installation. You might experience stoppages of up to 20 minutes during specific time frames if you're in that area. A 2-year-old who died in an Indianapolis house fire over the weekend has been identified as Isaiah Howell Jr. The Indianapolis Fire Department believes that fire was accidental, but another fire they looked into over the weekend was on what they say clearly arson. It might get a little easier to purchase a home in Indiana. Johnette Cruz tells you why.
Indiana families struggling to find an affordable place to call home may soon see a price drop. The U.S. House has officially passed the Affordable Homes Act, a legislative push led by 9th District Representative Aaron Houchin.
This bill addresses a real problem in the housing market, one that affects our most vulnerable home buyers. It reduces the upfront cost of buying a home, making it easier for Americans to achieve the dream of home ownership.
By returning oversight to the housing experts at HUD, Houchin believes the bill could lower the price of a manufactured home by up to $10,000. The bill now heads to the Senate. Johnette Cruz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And a bald eagle found injured near a creek in Putnam County is expected to make a full recovery after being rescued by investigators on Friday. The eagle was spotted by a property owner and reported to the authorities, who worked together to safely transport the bird to a recovery center. The Putnam County Sheriff's Office says they're now trying to find a name for the eagle. I'm John Herrick, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. 11:04, Kendall and Casey coming back in 1 minute.
Hey guys, it's Rob for Wheat Grow Hair Indy. You know, champions just don't show up. They pick the right team to get the best results. And when it comes to restoring your hair, We Grow Hair Indy is that team. You know, 5 years ago, I made the choice to head over to We Grow Hair Indy, and every time I look in the mirror, I'm so glad I did. You know, guys at the top of their game, radio personalities, coaches, and well-known athletes have all trusted We Grow Hair Indy to restore their hair. Why? Because their results are permanent, natural, and speak for themselves. Here's what you do. You call today, 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Schedule a totally free, no hassle, no obligation consultation. Darren and the gang, the fine folks at We Grow Hair Indy, will take a look at what's going on top of your head and make some suggestions on how you can get your hair and your confidence back. Then it's up to you. In the meantime, see some other folks who have made the choice to get their confidence back by heading over to WeGrowHairIndy.com. 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
You know, some of the things that our government officials have to explain, it really does say a lot about us as a society, doesn't it? It's Kendall Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Of course, we're talking about Minnesota. And look, I get that we spend a lot of time in Minnesota. I know Tony is doing it. Hammer and Nigel are doing it. And look, I can speak for this show, for me, and I would assume they feel much the same way. One, we're doing it because there's immense interest in it. But two, at least for me, it's ground zero of what sort of country we're going to have going forward. I'm not a, biggest election in our lifetime type of guy. It seems like we do that every time. I try to give you a rather nuanced perspective on things. You know that we are the show that we dislike all these people equally. We're not a cheerleader for the Republicans, and we certainly are not for the Democrats. When we see things, we try to tell you how we believe what's going on, and sometimes you're going to agree with that, sometimes you're not, but we don't take sides, right? We're not like team players. And so when I see what's going on in Minnesota, especially when you couple it with what took place in Minnesota and other places in 2020, you see the same playbook coming back from the left, in which they use some sort of high-profile act of violence. And I don't say this in the sense, at least like with the shooting of the woman in Minnesota. I think that shooting was 100% justified. Yet, I mean, it was the woman was killed, right? What else would you call it? That is violence. It is warranted violence, in my opinion. But they will use a high-profile act of violence, be it the death of George Floyd or the shooting now in Minnesota, and they have a desired result. It's not like people see that and go, oh, my gosh, I've got to get off the sidelines and into the game. They're always going to do this. They're looking for a reason to do it because they hate Trump, because Trump is unacceptable to them. And if something is unacceptable to them, that these people will do, many of them paid protesters, just as it would be my guess, just as many of them were paid during COVID, and that came out in the race riots, that they will do everything in their power to cause as much chaos as they possibly can. Most of these people don't care about this woman. They're not thinking that she's some freedom fighter. They're using her death as an opportunity to cause the destruction that they want. And if it wasn't this woman, it was going to be somebody else. Now, what's interesting is people like this woman seem to allow themselves to be used as pawns by these people who are funding the protests, who are organizing the protests. They allow themselves to be used by a group of people who don't really give a damn about them. And then it forces, obviously, the government to go into some sort of defense mode. Now, I do think the Trump administration is doing a much better job of playing offense with these people, these maniacs, than they were in 2020. And this is really a fight for the soul of the country right now, I think. That if you let these people win, if you let them succeed like they did in 2020, I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves. These people won in 2020. They got the sympathy of the public at large. They certainly got the sympathy of the politicians. They got catered to. And as a result, especially in the now that these audits and everything else are coming out, things like BLM, Black Lives Matter, got tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, our money, printed money, that went to them, and they did no good with it. They did nothing with it other than enrich the people at the top of the food chain. So if you're, think about it in your own life. If you invested in a strategy and it paid off, wouldn't you do it again? If you're a sports team, we're in the playoffs of the National Football League, and your previous game you were really good at running the ball, you just ran right over the other team, wouldn't you try to do it again? That's why what's going on in Minnesota is going on, and it's starting to, again, branch out around the country because it worked the last time. Here is Kristi Noem. She's the head of Homeland Security, and she is talking about how this was clearly an act of self-defense by the ICE officer.
Appreciate it. So it's been 4 days since this incident. The FBI is investigating the circumstances around the shooting. What new have investigators learned?
Well, I would say the FBI can give you the details of the investigation, but what we do know is that this was clearly a law enforcement action where the officer acted on his training and defended himself and his life and his fellow colleagues. It's a tragedy that this family has lost a loved one and that our country is dealing with the situation, but that's why we need our leaders to turn down their rhetoric. We need individuals and elected leaders in Minnesota to start partnering with us so that we can do law enforcement operations on the streets to protect the citizens that live there.
Yeah, but she knows that's never going to happen because people like Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, or Tim Walz are invested in the chaos. Tim Walz is loving this right now because anything to get the attention off of him and the upwards of $9 billion of fraud that he was overseeing. He's pleased as punch because it's getting him off the front page of the paper. The politicians in many cases, especially in these major metropolitan cities, are just as invested in the chaos as the people doing the damage. Speaking of people invested in doing the damage, here's Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, and listen to her description of what many of you have seen the footage, right? You've seen the various multiple camera angles of what took place. Listen to her description of what she claims went down.
Was blocking the road. They are claiming this is an act of terrorism.
Yeah, Renee Nicole Good, as you hear her say, she's not mad. She's sitting in her car, peacefully waving cars to get by. This agent, as you see, gets out of his car, automatically starts running towards her, trying to open her door. She feels scared. She tries to turn the wheel away, and then you see the other officer, who can clearly see the car is moving, move towards the front of the car, which, if they are saying that he has 10 years on service and is trained, he should know that you shouldn't be trying to get in front of a moving car. And so it is not acceptable for Kristi Noem and the president and the vice president to make these kind of judgments without there being a full investigation, even though we can see in the videos that have been produced so far that what they are describing is really not what is taking place. And so if they're saying that we shouldn't believe our eyes, then let the investigation take place before.
Lady, you are the one saying we should not believe our eyes. Unless this woman is that blind, in which case somebody should get her immediate medical attention, every single person can see what went down. There are now multiple camera angles of this. And you can see the woman and her wife that were attempting to go to agitate these law enforcement officials. Ilhan Omar wants you to believe that this woman was just skipping down the street and some ICE agent walked up to her and put a bullet in her head. She had her car blocked to impede traffic. She was deliberately being defiant and attempting to incite those ICE agents. And now with the camera angle that has come out, even if the original angle wasn't enough for you, the camera angle that has come out from the other ICE agent shows she clearly was moving towards this guy. And all Ilhan Omar can basically say is, well, he shouldn't have been standing there. He shouldn't have been standing there. He should have known better. She just drove away because she got scared. Everyone, and the history of this woman is starting to come out. She wasn't scared. She was there to grab attention. She was there to grab headlines. She was there to disrupt, and she believed that the rules of decent society, the rules of law and order that we all have to abide by, didn't apply to her. Look, there's all sorts of laws out there that I don't agree with. There's all sorts of things that I don't think I should have to do. The point is, though, we all enter into the same contract that if we're going to be out in decent society, that we play by the rules. And if we don't like the rules, there's ways to change them. Sometimes we get it done. Sometimes we don't. And the reality is you can't block the traffic unless you got a permit to do so. And when a law enforcement officer gives you a directive, you have to follow it. And you can't just drive at them if you don't like what they're telling you to do. This seems like it should be common sense, and yet to the Democrats, it is not. And it goes beyond just these many of times paid agitators, these anarchists. It filters down to the politicians who are giving cover and comfort and aid to these people. And if you're a politician and you're doing that, then I cannot separate you from the act itself. Real quick, one more clip here from Ilhan Omar. She was at a rally. I think this was yesterday. You tell me if this sounds threatening to you.
We are going to show all of them the door out. And we are going to make sure that these people pay for what they have done to us.
We are going to make sure that these people pay for what they have done to us. Certainly sounds like somebody's got some big plans on their hands. And this is one of the 535 most powerful people in the country. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I saw this on the internet yesterday. I was going down the rabbit hole of putting this show together. It's why it takes 9 hours, because it's like YouTube or anything else. You come out with one mission, and then 5 minutes later, you're somewhere completely different. But I found this really great audio from Ronald Reagan, and it got me thinking, how did it get so bad in this country? Where did we go so wrong? Play the audio next. When we come back, Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Tickets are on sale right now for Trump 1 year later. The highs, the lows, how we win the midterms. Happening at the Hyatt Regency, downtown Indianapolis. The bourbon will flow. The food will be fantastic. We're going to go over Trump's past year and how we use that to win the midterms. It's going to be informing, entertaining, and very, very funny. I promise. Join us, Trump 1 year later. Brought to you by Premier Arms, PA Jewelers, Defiance Beef, Chimney Solutions, and WIBC. Get your tickets at WIBC.com.
Life's full of unexpected joys, like problems with water. That's why there's Michaelis, a crew of 24/7 experts who are rescue ready, day or night, one phone call, for a gazillion disasters. Over 3 decades of restoring your home or business to better than new condition. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Don Fisher for QC Kinetics. I was struggling with chronic knee pain and wasn't encouraged with the options of risky surgery and pain pills. QC Kinetics offered the best option for me, cutting-edge regenerative medicine. Their non-invasive treatment stimulated my body's own biologics so I could be pain-free and get back to doing what I love, playing golf. QC Kinetics has a fantastic success rate, and it's clear to see why so many Hoosiers are happy to tell their story of how they reclaimed their lives with the QC Kinetics approach. Ready to live your life pain-free? Go to qckinetics.com/Indianapolis or call 317-559-PAIN and get a no-obligation consultation. QC Kinetics uses the latest technologies, whether it's stem cell, PRP, plasma, or a number of other advanced therapies. Call QC Kinetics. It'll be the best call you will make. Get back in the game, whatever that is for you. Call 317-559-PAIN.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, Call Bob right now. 800-890-5075. 800-890-5075. 800-890-5075. That's 800-890-5075. Paid for by Term Direct.
This hour powered by Family Heating and Air, your American Standard Air dealer. Nobody cares for you like family.
So I found this audio from former President Ronald Reagan, and it really it hit home. And I began thinking to myself, I got to play this for our audience. And it also made me think, like, how do we stray so far from the message that he was delivering? It is Kendall Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out again today. We'll get to that Reagan audio in just a moment. I did want to update everybody. I know I did this earlier on in the program, but we have people coming and going throughout our 3 hours, so I wanted to take a moment and try to just very high level update everybody on where Casey is, because I know many of you love Casey, and she's been out the past really since the start of the new year, and just wanted to very high level give you an update on that. She did not quit. She is not on the run from the law. She has not fled to another country. Casey, right before she was about to come back from break, had a bit of a health issue that she's been dealing with. I think it'd be safe to say that she's not on death's door. I don't think they're measuring the drapes just yet, right? But she has had some health challenges, and she's hoping here in the coming days she's going to get some news on how to deal with those and get better. And she definitely, I know, misses all of you guys, and is hopeful that she'll get some good news here in the coming days, and she'll be able to be back with us in the very near future. So if you are the type that is prayerful and believe in that, which hopefully you all do, if you could include Casey and her family in your prayers, I know she would definitely appreciate it. So hope to have some more news to share pretty soon. We'll hope that'll be good news. But I wanted to let everybody know Casey is still with us, and hopefully we'll have her back here on the program soon. All right, so I want to play this audio. This was actually the farewell address from former President Reagan. So this would have been January. In fact, it was we're on about the 37th anniversary of this. By the way, do you ever catch yourself realizing how long ago the 80s were now? Like, so January of 1989 would be 37 years ago. That's crazy. That the 19 and my I remember this as a kid. Like, my dad told me this because he would talk about things that happened in the 60s, and I would think, oh my gosh, that was like an eternity ago. Like, that was so long ago. I can't even believe you remember that, Dad. And he would say, that will happen to you someday. He said, you will reach a point where your childhood, when you talk about it, will be relevant to how I talk about the 1960s. And I thought, yeah, sure, whatever, old man. And now here we are. And I was thinking about this as I was putting this audio together last night. I was out getting signatures for the Brownsburg City status last night, and I was visiting with a couple of people. One of them I went to high school with, and I was at their house and getting their signatures. And we were talking about this. And I said, it is amazing how I just find myself more and more, especially now that I have a child, where I'll just random things will happen, and I will stop and go, oh my gosh, my parents were right about this. Like you start to have perspective on how right your parents were about so much that even something that seemed like irrelevant at the time. But then you realize it probably happened to them too, where when they were your age, they were like, my parents are crazy. There's this old saying, youth is wasted on the young, and you truly, you don't realize it, and it's just amazing. But anyway, all that being said, here is President Reagan in his farewell address. And I want to play this audio, and then I want to get into it, because his perspective and his vision and his appreciation for who we were as a nation was just so great, and for some reason we've lost sight of it. Take a listen.
Ours was the first revolution in the history of mankind that truly reversed the course of government, and with three little words: we the people. We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car, and we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are. Our Constitution is a document in which we, the people, tell the government what it is allowed to do. We, the people, are free.
That is so right. And I know I've mentioned this before on this show. I have a very, very good friend who works in state government. And this person told me this a while ago, and it has really stayed with me. He said, one of the lasting legacies of COVID, and it's of all the bad things that happened during COVID, this may be the worst in terms of the long-term ramifications, is that the politicians figured out they can do just about whatever they want to us, and we really won't fight back. I mean, think about it. They shut the society down. They closed businesses. They put people out of work. They forced you to wear a mask. They had all sorts of ridiculous rules about, wearing a mask and where to wear it and standing 6 feet away and all these things that were just utterly ridiculous. And by and large, society just said, okay. And the politicians figured out if they won't fight back on that, I'm in an utter shutdown and disruption of American existence. And the people are just kind of like, but I'm not saying every person, obviously many people were vocal, but I'm saying by and large, people didn't do anything about it. And the politicians figured out the people aren't in charge anymore. We're in charge. And you have seen the brazen nature of bad government. I mean, I understand bad government has always existed, but the brazen nature in which the government has behaved in a rotten fashion has just escalated since 2020 because the politicians finally figured it out that people aren't really all that serious about fighting back. And I come back to that clip about Reagan, where, yes, the foundation of the country, one of the things that made America so great and so special was the idea we're in charge, that we can take it back at any time. The politicians have a vested interest in staying in line because the people can, and when the country was founded, they were very fearful would take the country back if the politicians got out of line. We are so far from that now. We so often just roll over and do what we're told, right? Like we don't push back anymore. And I'm not talking about pushing back in some sort of violent fashion or, illegal fashion. But where's the fight? I had this conversation with somebody last night when I was out getting the signatures about just this, about the idea that there are so few people that are willing to stand up and take the battle back to the government anymore. There's so few people that are willing to stand up and go, that's wrong, and we're not going to tolerate it. And the government has caught on to that. The elected officials have caught on to that. And until we get them back to the point where they are fearful of us, not fearful in the sense of, violence again or something that's not law-abiding, but fearful in the sense of these people will do something about it. They will organize. They will act. They will remove me. They will vote me out. Until we get back to that, we're going to keep seeing what is happening in front of us, which is rotten government in a brash and brazen fashion at the expense of us. 93 WIBC, Kendall Casey Show.
Hi, I'm Tom Connors. Went to Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar February 6, 2019. Nothing worked before. Left there and never smoked again. Amazing. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds and I lost 43 in 8 weeks.
It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day and nothing worked until Mark Patrick hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food. Crazy. Enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick hypnosis really works?
It's amazing. I can breathe again. My blood pressure went down and I've got so much energy.
So much energy.
And look great.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis. Only $59.99. Destroy unwanted cravings. January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking at 8. Or January 31st, Holiday Inn Express Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss 11 a.m. Stop smoking at 2. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Ben Franklin here to talk to you about your water heater. A water heater is a vital part of your home's plumbing. When it doesn't work, it can really freeze up your routine. Call the pros at Benjamin Franklin Plumbing about water heater options for your home. Visit BenjaminFranklinPlumbing.com or call 877-BEN-1776 to request an appointment.
The local pros call Benjamin Franklin Plumbing.
Call for details. Independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
Serving Indiana means being ready for growing energy demands. At Duke Energy, we're adding more power to the grid and working on hundreds of local projects to make your energy more reliable. We've strengthened nearly 20,000 poles, updated more than 270 substations, and prevented hundreds of thousands of outage hours with self-healing grid technology, so your power can come back on faster than ever. That's the smarter energy future Indiana deserves. Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
A mi papá le dio por ir al parque, a hacer yoga. Al mío por ir a un club, pero no de lectura, de salsa.
Encontrar nuevos pasatiempos viene con la edad.
A mi mamá le dio por no saber a dónde va y perderse por horas.
Perderse o desorientarse, no. La confusión de tiempo o lugar puede ser una señal de Alzheimer. Un diagnóstico temprano puede ayudar a mejorar la calidad de vida de su ser querido. Aprenda las señales de advertencia del Alzheimer en 10señales.org. Patrocinado por la Alzheimer's Association y
It
la
all
Council.
comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Friendly reminder to change your filter. Head on over to our website at familyhvac.net for some of the best pricing on filters around.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
The return of snow chances. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Temperatures will hover around the 40 to 50 degree range over the next 2 days throughout Indiana. But Jason Puma at the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says a change begins on Wednesday.
Thursday, dry day, high near 27. On Friday, a 50% chance of snow, a high near 35. And then on Saturday, 30% chance of snow with a high near 29.
He says the exact snowfall total's hard to pinpoint right now, but he says it won't be confined to one particular area. Paramount Skydance taking Warner Brothers Discovery to court. The studio filed a lawsuit today seeking to force Warner Brothers to disclose the financial deals of its deal with Netflix. And the NFL's wild card round wraps up tonight with the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Houston Texans. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
2 days after it hit the presses, the pamphlet was already everywhere, passed from tavern to tavern, read aloud by candlelight to crowds that grew bolder with every word.
WIBC celebrates the spirit of 76. Brought to you by Tony Katz presents Trump 1 year later.
January 12th, 1776. Thomas Paine's common sense had begun its quiet revolution. In city streets and country inns, farmers, merchants, and soldiers heard what many had dared only think. Independence was not treason, but destiny. No decree or musket could stop an idea that had finally found its voice. A shared belief that freedom was their birthright.
The spirit of 76. History remembered. Freedom celebrated. Sponsored by Trump. 1 year later, an evening of insight, conversation, and bourbon with Tony Katz. Tickets available at WIBC.com.
Selling the house a non-traditional way to helping us.
So tomorrow, got a big show coming up for you. And one of the things we're going to do, as we talked about, and we played a little bit of audio for you today, is last week we sent producer Jason Dozier, former producer for the Tony Katz Midday Show, down to Du Bois County. That's how big the Kendall and Casey show is. We can send people on assignment. And we sent Jason down to Du Bois County to find out what's going on the ground down there as it relates to this Mid-States Corridor project and talk to people on the ground who are being affected in real time. And Jason joins us now. Hey, Jason, how's it going, man?
Doing fantastic, Rob. Thanks for the trip.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing so well on the
invoice will be submitted soon.
That's right. So you went down and you talked to like a bevy of people, right?
Right. There were a ton of people at this meeting at the Schnizzlebonk.
That's where you went?
The Schnizzlebonk.
And
yes. Took me forever to actually pronounce that.
We played the guy today, and I thought that was the most compelling piece of audio, was that this guy's farm has been in his family for 175 years. He's got an elderly mother that he takes care of that's part of his responsibility. And if this Mid-States Corridor, this multi-billion-dollar project, goes through, it's going to essentially gut 175 years, generation upon generation of farming.
Absolutely. And again, it's just this is like a country song or a John Mellencamp song. I mean, they're going to put the interstate right through my mother's house. Or I talked to somebody else who said actually it would run right through our front yard, just like the lyrics of the song. And it's just crazy. And there were over 100 people crammed into this place, and a lot of them I found out later were there because of the Kendall and Casey show. Even though they can't even pick it up down there, they've been promoting it and sharing the podcast. So a lot of people, you have opened the eyes to people that can't even hear you, Rob.
That's what I do. That's what I do. It's we're on a new level here.
But
you're the listener.
But the thing I found most strange is that you would think in a southern community, a northern community, somewhere outside the donut, that people would be really proud of their hometown boy making good. And it's 100% opposite. After I left, I did spend the night down there. I went to a couple different places, gas stations, things like that. And I made it a point, just like the clerk, what do you think about the Mid-States Corridor? What's that? Well, that everybody's talking. Oh, is that interstate they're trying to ruin the town? So people that aren't even really in touch, they're like, oh, yeah, and there was not one person that said, yeah, I think this would be fantastic. Apparently, the only people that think it's fantastic are sitting on the city council and the mayor. But again, my purview was just that one meeting, that one little scope of what was going on. I don't have the entire story as you do, but I can tell you there are a lot of people. 175 people were taken to court by the state.
That's amazing.
Because of this, and that's what we'll get into.
Yeah, so the next couple days, Jason's going to be with us for some segments. We're going to talk about what is going on in these people's lives, how the Braun administration, how Indiana state government is really putting the screws to these people and what will happen. And I think the bigger thing for people is the fact that it is believed the governor and this business, Meyer Distributing, that he owns, stands to potentially make a lot of money off of this. And I think that's what's really stuck in people's crawl is that you've got this project that's so wildly unpopular. There's no perceived benefit by the people and most people in the community. And then you got the governor who is a staunch proponent of it who could make a whole bunch of money off of it.
On the website that promotes the corridor, their biggest selling point is it will save citizens 5 minutes getting from Indianapolis to Nashville, Tennessee. 5 minutes. This is on the website. This is something they're touting for $3 or $4 billion.
Yeah, it's wild. All right, so we'll have that tomorrow. I just wanted to preview that. So in the meantime, I found some audio that I thought was fascinating, and this is a little montage of high-profile Democrat politicians, two of them presidents, Obama and Clinton, and Hillary's in there as well. And this is Democrats talking about how we've got to do everything we can to stamp out illegal immigration.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century.
I think we got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
I guess maybe they just plumb forgot. It's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Producer Jason Dozier is in with us. We're going to be working on some stuff for tomorrow's show. But isn't it amazing how quickly, I mean, that's a relatively short period of time, right? Like that's 30 years ago. Bill Clinton is talking about we need stricter immigration enforcement. You can't be breaking the law in this country. And now you've got the Democrat Party, which is wholly invested in illegal immigration.
Look, if they wanted to win this opinion battle, the public opinion, all they had to do was go back a few years and say, look, if you want to come pick tomatoes, you want to come work, we will vet you, we will get you over here. And all they had to do was refuse the criminals, and there would be no way that the American opinion would be, yes, get these illegals out of here, because they would not be looking at them as criminals.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? They had a do-drop-in policy. Remember, like, one of Biden's first press conferences as president, he probably didn't know he was saying it, but he literally was telling people what to say on the other end of the phone. Like, if we capture your kid, if you send your child up here and we call you, here's what you say. And people are like, you're telling people how to scam the system, and we're not going to tolerate it.
Which made it easy for the average American to push back on it.
Yeah.
And just say, we don't care about the tomato pickers. We don't care about grandma there that's just trying to make a living. You got to, you got to get rid of all of them because you let too many in and you let the wrong ones in. Again, if you'd let half of those people in, you still would have had your census. You still would have had your votes. And the American public would have said, well, they're not causing me harm other than the paycheck, that sort of thing. It would have been able to get by.
All right. Now, I know you're going to be interested in this, because when we come back, when the government shut down, it was supposed to be about like paying the troops, right? And it turns out that when the government reopened, there was language, and this will shock you, Jason, that was in cover of darkness inserted into the bill that nobody knew about, that is going to have a profound impact on an industry in Indiana that a lot of farmers depend on to make a lot of money. And in fact, I know something close to you. Aren't you the host of like the Midwest Hemp Council podcast, or didn't you used to be? Like, you had a lot of, this sounds crazy, right? But you had a lot of experience with the hemp industry.
Right. And I still technically am the podcaster. You can go back, you can find those, you can Google and that sort of thing. But we haven't done one in a long while. There was a message when they first came out, Justin Swanson, Jamie Petty, when they were really strong in this, and they needed to be, and look where it got us.
Yeah, so when we come back, there is major changes to hemp in this country as a part of the government reopening. It's going to have potentially tens of millions of dollars of economic impact on Indiana. Farms could potentially be shut down. This is bad news. Justin Swanson from Bose McKinney will be with us to tell about it. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Traditional way to a company like Simple Quarters takes so much stress and relief off of you. You can put that time back in your family and taking care of what needs to be taken care of. So my father-in-law, his health was declining. We needed to move him to put in assisted living, and we needed to get the home out of his name. Initially, my wife just wanted to let the property be taken over by the state. She was stressed just due to the condition of her dad, moving him back to Indianapolis. And I told her, look, we can sell the home, use those funds to care for him over the next few years. I really didn't want to hassle with putting it on the market, listing it, answering questions, fixing stuff. I reached out to Simple Quarters. The process was just super easy through Simple Quarters. Everything they said they did. There was no pressure involved whatsoever. The pricing I got for the house was very fair, and it was a relief knowing we didn't have the financial responsibility and we could just put all our time and energy into taking care of our father-in-law.
Call Simple Quarters 317-687-HOME, 317-687-HOME.
Gain insight on how to prepare for a secure retirement.
In our younger years, we want as much growth and accumulation as we can muster.
Take advantage of a free discovery call, 877-524-2677, 877-524-2677.
It's important for you to understand what that's going to look like later on.
And tune in to the Absolute Retirement Planning Show with Will Gonzalez, Sundays at 9 a.m. right here on 93 WIBC.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Indiana winters are when serious plumbing problems show up. Frozen pipes, no hot water, backed up drains. Indiana winters deserve a real local Indiana plumber. Hey, it's Denny Smith, and at my house I use LD Smith Plumbing and Drains. Real local people answering your call who live, work, and play here. And they're specialists. All they do is water. Call the company I trust, LD Smith Plumbing and Drains, 317-927-7186, ldsmithplumbing.com.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
Your event isn't just a date on a calendar. It's a reputation. It's your reputation. It's a moment you can't get back. So why trust anybody else? Trust the most experienced at Nameless Catering. We are engineered for high-stakes weddings and massive corporate lunches. We rely on systems, not stock photos. We don't just deliver meals, we deliver peace of mind. We are Nameless Catering, Indianapolis's standard for service.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Welcome to the most wonderful time of the year, when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, scream in terror, and start looking for new ways to save money. If that's you, why not cut your wireless bill in half with a saver plan from Pure Talk? You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super-fast 5G network for just $20 a month. Ho, ho, ho. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team will help you switch in minutes. Again, talk, text, and data for just $20 a month.
It's 2026, and it's time to get your home zero-resified. Call the Zero Res Cleaning Heroes for the WIBC special, 317-388-5141, ZeroResIndy.com.
Casey and the Sunshine Band, live at Old National Center, January 23rd at 7:30 p.m. It's the ultimate throwback party. Get your tickets today at WIBC.com.
So it turns out the government shutdown a couple months ago ended up being about a lot more than just paying the bills. And when it reopened, there was some legislation that could be very damaging to Indiana. Let's get into it. 93 WIBC, it's the Kendall and Casey show, joined in studio by Justin Swanson. He is, he's a bigwig over there at Bose McKinney. And it turns out in the government shutdown, once the bill to reopen the government shutdown, hemp is going to be banned in this country. Yeah, that sounds crazy, doesn't it? Hemp is going to be banned in this country. So how will this affect Indiana, Indiana industries, Indiana farmers? Nobody knows hemp better than Justin Swanson. As I said, he's an attorney with Bose McKinney. You're kind of like the hemp czar, aren't you?
Someone has to, right?
Hemp czar, I think that's what
right.
we'll call it. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, because this came out late in the bill, that essentially they made hemp illegal. What happened?
So really, you got to kind of know how this all came about to begin with in the original Farm Bill in 2014. And Senator McConnell stepped up and led the hemp industry in a big way to, basically decouple hemp from marijuana and allow American farmers to put it back on their family farms and, have a nice rotational crop.
Seems pretty common sense.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, since then, the market certainly evolved, right? And the way the language was written, I mean, it essentially allowed for a lot of different products to hit the marketplace. But not just the language. Everyone forgets the FDA was required to regulate hemp products in this bill.
Now, hemp is not weed.
That's correct.
Like people think that hemp, it is not. Like hemp's in all sorts of stuff that we use every single day.
Yeah, you basically have 3 end markets for it. You have the fiber, so that's the variety that grows real tall, 15-foot plants. You have the grain, which is 3-4 foot plants, and you're growing it for the seed. And that's really good for farmers because you can have a domestic supply chain of animal feed right there on your farm. And then the last industry, which is the largest right now, which is the cannabinoid industry.
Okay, so Indiana farmers were all over this, right? A lot of people doing this. It seemed to be working pretty well. Who didn't want this, and why is hemp now no longer legal?
Well, it turned out, the evolution of the marketplace, Senator McConnell wasn't a big fan of it. So
after he was leading it.
Yeah, so he doesn't like the, quote, intoxicating aspect of it. So maybe you see in the grocery stores around here in Indiana or on premise at bars and restaurants, we now have these THC drinks, right? And those are making a big dent in the marketplace.
Right.
I think you've seen the headlines and the data. Alcohol is being consumed a lot less than it was in the past.
Right.
People are shifting their consumption over to cannabis products or hemp products like the drinks.
So this was about special interest being mad that the market was shifting.
Well,
that's such attorney speak that you didn't realize there's a shift in the marketplace. No. We speak directly here, Swanson. A bunch of special interest people were mad that their monopolies on things were going away.
Well, and what is the state of Kentucky known for?
Yeah, that's right. Bourbon, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So we had a big dip in the marketplace, and over the weekend in that big, beautiful bill that was designed to, open the government back up, there was language inserted there that literally makes even the act of processing hemp into whatever oils, no matter how much THC is in it, illegal again.
So, okay, so let's recap this for people. So there's this 40-day shutdown, however long it went. And it's about reopening the government. But this is what always happens in government stuff, is there's a bunch of stuff that didn't pertain to, paying service members or making sure FEMA can get resources to people. Then they sneak in. Now hemp's just poof, illegal? Is that the way it went down?
That's right. I mean, there's a backdoor ban, and I think every American should be concerned when policies pass in such a way.
Can they do that? So are all these people, these hemp farmers, are they just done?
So that's a great question. So what we've been working on, the ban doesn't actually take effect until November of this year. So they delayed the ban a year. I'll let you guess on why that was. But it might have something to do with setting up a regulatory structure, right, at the federal level. But in the meantime, what that ban has done is it's chilled the capital markets. Right now is when American farmers, including Hoosier farmers, are deciding what their planting season looks like. Like, they're making decisions right now, and now they're forced to make a decision with no certainty on whether they're going to have an end market come November.
So this sounds, by the way, Justin Swanson from Bose McKinney is our guest. We're talking about hemp, which will soon be illegal in this country. So all these farmers, these people put millions of dollars into their crop, their resources, a decade. They're just done?
That's right. And the American.
I feel like I'm missing something here.
No, that's it. I mean, the American farmers built this industry, right? They were told to grow it again. And right now it's about a $30 billion industry across the country. And so what we've been working on now with Congress is an extension of the ban, right? So we're asking Congress for another 2 years, starting in November, to not ban hemp and give us time to work with Congress to.
This is crazy to me.
It is. And think about it from a farmer's perspective, Rob. They already have to have a background check to grow this commodity.
Right.
They have to get fingerprints. They have to get it tested before they even harvest it. And now they wake up and their market's gone in November.
That is just nuts. Okay, so is the Congress responsive to this? Like, the idea that if we're going to shut down an entire industry, there should probably be more than 1 year unwind period for it?
That's right. So we are getting a little momentum on the extension. So in particular, Congressman Baird's been really helpful to work with on this issue, not just now, but really in years.
Well, he's up for re-election, so it's a good time to get him.
Well, he's always been a big supporter of hemp, and more particularly, making sure our farmers are taken care of and have options on the farm.
Okay, so what there's always the reason, which we've hit the reason, which is their special interest that didn't want it. But what is their publicly espoused thing to humanity, these politicians saying why this thing now after 10, 11 years is suddenly a plague on society?
So I hit on earlier, FDA failed to put forth regulations to regulate these products. So in the meantime...
Shouldn't they yell at the FDA for that rather than the farmers?
That's right. But what our market competitors have framed this as is we're marketing intoxicating products and selling intoxicating products to kids.
I see.
Right? So how could you be against that?
Got to think of the children, right?
So that's the way the issue's been framed on the Hill. And frankly, our strongest, I think, point is our story, and it's turned into our weakest point just because we're not as well organized or politically connected as our competitors.
Okay, so you guys, there's a poll that came out. The hemp people did a poll on how strongly people in Indiana support hemp. Tell us about it.
That's right. So this was directed at 600 likely primary Republican voters in Indiana, and done in response to this backdoor ban to make sure that we are heading down the right way.
And this is just for people that you targeted people in Indiana. This is an Indiana-based poll.
Yeah, and Republican primary likely voters.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a very specific demographic here.
Yeah, so for all of our people who may be running for re-election and or challenging those running for re-election, this is right in your wheelhouse, right? So what does it say?
So I think probably the biggest takeaway is by nearly a 3-to-1 margin, nearly 4-to-1 margin, 3-to-1 margin, sorry, a Republican primary voter is more likely to support a candidate that votes to regulate hemp and hemp products than recriminalize it. So
3-to-1.
3-to-1.
So if you're running, you should be running on hemp.
Well, or at least you don't even have to support the marketplace of the products, but what we can support is clear regulations, not just for the consumer and the farmer, but also for law enforcement. I mean, law enforcement in this state is confused on what's legal and what's not legal, and so are consumers and small businesses.
How much did Rokita screw this up by basically going after those local merchants? So reset this for us. Like what this was a year or so ago. Rokita basically told the law enforcement you can go in there and just raid these little gas shops and stuff. Am I remembering that properly?
Yeah, I think that was back in the start of 23.
Oh, it all runs together now. But he was the attorney general when that went down, right?
That's right. And unfortunately, what happened here is not unique across the country. This is the same playbook, state by state, our market competitors take. And so the irony on this is when you go against the hemp industry, you're actually supporting kind of big marijuana, right, in other states.
Yeah, because that was Rokita's excuse is we got to get these guys out of here. And basically what they were doing was, in a weird way, emboldening big marijuana.
That's right.
Does it make me a bad person that I just want people to do what they want to do, and then it's like, if it doesn't harm me, just leave me out of it? Like, I think that's where most people are. And in the case of the hemp farmer, it's like, who are they harming? The answer is they're harming no one. That's the answer, right? So what can people do if they're sympathetic to our Indiana hemp growers? How can they help?
I think, well, first, we're not going to have a market unless we can change the course at the federal level. So reach out to your congressmen, your senators, and ask them to support a 2-year extension on the hemp ban. That way it gives the market time to work with Congress to set up a market structure and more importantly, make sure our farmers have certainty on where their crop's going.
Yeah, and in my case, you'll want me to be for getting rid of the hemp because they'll do the exact opposite of whatever I say. So I'll call and tell them I'm for it.
Probably me.
Justin Swanson, Bose McKinney, thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
And that is going to do it for us today. Thank you, as always, to you, the listener. Without you, there is no us. Stick around. Tony Katz coming up next. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Join us every Friday right around 5:50 for Beer Sample Friday.
Brought to you by Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus, home of free delivery within 75 miles of their store.
Weekday mornings at 7:15, the Tony Katz Popcorn Moment. Brought to you by Boer Remodeling. Don't wait any longer for the kitchen you've been dreaming of. Request a consultation at BoerRemodeling.com.
Are you worried about your taxes? Okay, so I'm talking to those of you out there that have not filed in a few years with the IRS or state. It's time to get worried, and here's why. The IRS is getting back from their own COVID lockdown, and they're hiring more enforcers, and they're going to come after people that owe taxes. So if you're a 1099 worker, and maybe you just plain forgot to file your taxes, you need to call the professionals right now at the Tax Helpline. They are experts at knowing the tax regulations valuations, and their goal is to help you pay as little as possible. Call right now and get a 100% free tax evaluation. Remember, before the IRS knocks on your door, knock on our door. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, make this free call right now.
Call Texas 321 now at 800-808-9443. 800-808-9443. That's 800-808-9443.
Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
When was the last time you practiced your home fire escape plan? Be sure everyone in your family knows what to do if there's a fire. Get out, stay out. It's your fire safe response.
On the level, on the go. 93 WIBC Indianapolis.
Coming up.
Bundle up and practice your winter weather preparedness.
The fire broke out on Finley Avenue.
It could be coming to the Martindale-Brightwood neighborhood.
Hoosier Nation and the coaching staff and just the entire sports staff has given myself so much opportunity here.
This is the WIBC News at noon.
He's offering advice, and he hopes you take it. Mostly sunny and 35 degrees in downtown Indianapolis. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 12 noon. That advice being offered by Jason Puma. He's a meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Indianapolis.
Bundle up and practice your winter weather preparedness stuff in regards to staying warm, covering all your skin when you go outside, wear a hat and gloves, and stay warm.
He says snow is likely to move into Indiana starting Wednesday.
The setup really looks like we're just going to be in a northwest flow of cold polar air coming down, along with a low pressure systems near the Great Lakes. And that's kind of favorable for ongoing snow showers from time to time.
Puma says it's not supposed to be focused on just one specific area, but they'll know more details when they get closer. An argument is what police in Greenwood say led to two men pulling out guns and firing them at each other late Saturday night. Two men were killed. Another man was injured. It happened at a home near Freedom Park. Johnson County Coroner Mike Pruitt saying this morning that autopsies are scheduled for this afternoon, and the names of the men who died are supposed to be released soon. A 2-year-old is dead after firefighters pulled him from a burning home on Indy's South Side Saturday night. Jake McDaniel reports.
The fire broke out on Finley Avenue near South State Road and I-65 just after 10. While 2 adults and 2 children managed to escape when their smoke alarms went off, thick smoke prevented them from reaching Isaiah Howell Jr. upstairs. Firefighters found Howell within just 2 minutes of arriving, but he later died at a hospital. Investigators say working smoke alarms are the reason the rest of the family survived. And firefighters have now ruled the fire as accidental, likely caused by an electrical issue. Jake McDaniel, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A public hearing will be held in Indianapolis this week to discuss a proposed $500 million data center. Renuka Bajpai reports.
It could be coming to the Martindale-Brightwood neighborhood on the northeast side. MetroBlock's, a California-based data center developer, has asked to rezone the property, but people are worried about the noise and environmental risks that could set their neighborhood back. Democrat Ron Gibson says the development could bring tax revenue and new investments in Indianapolis. But the community will have the final say at the public hearing this Thursday at 1 o'clock at the City County building. Renuka Bajpai, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Making home ownership affordable is a goal for one state lawmaker. Johnette Cruz reports.
An Indiana lawmaker is at the center of a bipartisan effort to tackle the national housing crisis. Representative Erin Houchin saw her Affordable Homes Act pass the House floor last week.
The Affordable Homes Act restores clarity by placing manufacturing housing standards back under the Office of Housing and Urban Development where they belong and eliminating duplicative regulatory authority by the Department of Energy.
Houchin says the goal is simple: get the government out of the way so that more families can afford to own their own homes. Johnette Cruz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Talk that the Chicago Bears could move to Indiana may be more than a bargaining chip. Ryan Hedrick explains why one Hoosier leader believes the move could actually happen.
If Chicago Bears ownership knew what their property taxes would be ahead of time and could count on them staying that way, Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott says that would go a long way toward making a new stadium in his city a reality.
We're talking about a $2-3 billion deal. And when you look at the type of property taxes that are going to be generated off a proposal like that, they could save hundreds of millions of dollars.
Speaking with Inside Indiana Business in December, Chicago Bears CEO and President Kevin Warren said the team could explore building a new stadium in Northwest Indiana. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
President Trump meeting with his national security team this week to discuss Iran's nationwide protests. Fox's Jared Halpern reports from the White House.
As protests across Iran intensify, President Trump says leaders of the country are reaching out to his administration.
Iran called, they want to negotiate.
The president told reporters aboard Air Force One a meeting is being set up.
But we may have to act because of what's happening before the meeting.
President Trump says he is receiving hourly updates about the demonstrations in Iran and is expected to meet with his national security team about potential U.S. responses this week. Iran has warned if the U.S. intervenes, U.S. military bases in the region and Israel would be legitimate targets. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The Indiana Hoosier football team is heading to the national championship game in Miami to face the Miami Hurricanes. They throttled Oregon on Friday night, 56-22. Here was one of the plays their offense made to build their big first-half lead.
And Fernando again looks to throw it. Now he's going deep, way deep, and the catch is made. What a play! Guess who? Charlie Becker again. 36 yards. Indiana scores.
The call there on the IU radio network by Don Fisher. After the game, Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza expressed his gratitude.
Hoosier Nation and the coaching staff and just the entire sports staff has given myself so much opportunity here and so much belief in my character and my play. And as not only as a player, also as a leader, you know, I'm forever in debt.
Mendoza went to Christopher Columbus High School in Miami, Florida. Kickoff for the national championship game next Monday night at 7:30 right here on 93 WIBC. The 83rd annual Golden Globes were held in Beverly Hills, California Sunday night to honor the best in film and TV. And one of the awards given out was for Best Motion Picture for a musical or comedy.
The winner is One Battle After Another.
Audio courtesy of Golden Globes LLC and Dick Clark Productions. One Battle After Another had 9 nominations and won 3 other Golden Globes, including Best Female Supporting Actor and Best Motion Picture Director. I'm Sean Herrick on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Live from the heartland and the crossroads of America, it's Tony Katz Today.
There are no deals to be made. Not with the Ayatollah. Not for a second. There's no deal to be made with this terrorist. Maybe the deal is you get to leave Iran alive while you rot forever in a jail cell, or Moscow, which I wouldn't even know how you would describe the difference at this stage of the game. Tony Katz Today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Live streaming, YouTube.com/Tony Katz. Get into the chat room. I mean, there's a fair amount of madness that has been going on, including from the good people at the Golden Globes, who are just so absolutely and vehemently full of themselves. Hey, producer Landon, finger on the dump button.
10 years ago, since then we've had COVID. I believe we're a dictatorship now, and
you schmuck. In what dictatorship, Director Judd Apatow, do you get to put on a tux, go to an event, and say without any prompting from a government official, I believe we're in a dictatorship now? It's a lot of stupidity. And there's no end in sight, and they think themselves so pious. But let's stick with Iran and what's going on, because none of these Golden Globe winners or nominees or anybody else thought for a second that they should say, hey, maybe we support the people of Iran, and maybe it would be great if they were actually able to get their freedom and put an end to this horrible Islamic regime that is led by this murderous Ayatollah. Wouldn't that be the very, very best thing? The answer is yes. The answer is undoubtedly yes, but that did not happen. Right now in Iran, you have potentially 10,000 detained, more than 500 dead. Now, these are still the numbers. I did some checking before the show began, and we're still in this idea of 500. I have to assume that the number of dead is more than 500. And I have to assume the numbers of those who have been taken by the regime is more than 10,000. And there's been talk about putting these 10,000 people to death. I don't know what's going to happen. Part of the issue is that we're not getting great reporting out of Iran. Now, Elon Musk did organize Starlink to be able to be available because the Iranian regime shut down the internet, and the only thing they left playing was like Tucker Carlson interviews. I swear to you, that's a true story. This all because the Iranians see the moment of not having to live in this hellscape that they have lived in for all of these years, and it is what it is. Nobody wants to live under an Islamic regime who isn't a radicalized Islamist hell-bent on subjugating or killing anybody who disagrees with them. I don't even take it the way others have in the social media places, that what we're seeing